Good evening, everyone. We'd like to call our January 8th, 2024 Fayetteville City Council meeting to order. Thank you all who are joining us in person and those who are joining us remotely. At this time, we will begin with the invocation. We would ask that Pastor Blake Benji from Snyder Memorial, if you would, Pastor, how are you, sir? If we could all please stand for the invocation, immediately following, if we could repeat the Pledge of Allegiance together. Pastor?
Thank you for Fayetteville. Thank you for a place where we pause and just recognize you and recognize our dependence upon you. And in light of that, Father, we ask that you would give to these council members the thing that you give, the things that you give to every great, exceptional leader. That they would think more about others than themselves. That they would think more about what we could and should be rather than just what we are right now. And we ask these things, knowing that we're dependent upon you. Amen. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pastor, welcome to the meeting tonight. Thank you for the prayer. You want to spend just a moment and tell us a little bit about yourself and your ministry?
Well, I'm Blake, and I'm from. I grew up in South Alabama, moved here from North Florida, and been here for about a year. And it's been a lot of fun. Real honored to be here, be a part of Fayetteville, be a part of Snyder Memorial Baptist. Our church is a church that, just like this council, we want to continue to see Fayetteville become better and better, and we want to be a part of making it a better and better place to live. It's an honor to be a part of a community that's so well connected to the military. I did not have the privilege of serving, so it is great to be in a community that serves those who serve. Our church is focused on leading people to discover God and to develop faith in that God and to display Christ-like love in our attitudes and our actions. That's our aim. That's our hope. Thank you again for allowing us to be here tonight.
Thank you, sir. At this time, I'll ask that Mr. Kwame Molden, if he could meet me at the podium, and turn it over to Council Member, or if he can meet Council Member Thompson at the podium, and special presentation.
Good evening, Fayetteville. Before me, we have one of our own, Mr. Kwame Molden, who has done a lot of great things in the city of Fayetteville. I'm not going to go too much into detail because he's going to have a small presentation to show you exactly what it is he does. But unbeknownst to some of us, Fayetteville's name is being blown up all around the country by the product that he distributes throughout the country. So without further ado, Mr. Mayor, would you please read the proclamation?
All right, Mr. Molden, again, congratulations. And the proclamation has been prepared, and it reads as follows. Mr. Kwame Molden was born September 8th, 1986 in Fayetteville, North Carolina, to Henry and Sabrina Watson. Henry Molden and Sabrina Watson. Whereas Mr. Molden received his formal education from E.E. Smith High School, where he was a member of the National Honor Society, soccer and football teams, and graduated with honors. Mr. Molden graduated from North Carolina A&T in 2009 with a Bachelor of Science degree in Information Technology and obtained a Master's of Business Administration and Marketing from UNC Charlotte in 2012. Whereas Mr. Molden is the co-founder and president of Spring Break Watches, a designer watch company that provides an amazing variety of impactful and affordable watches. Spring Break draws strength and inspiration from their community and their culture, their beautiful childhood experiences growing up in Fayetteville, and their strong passion for education. Whereas Mr. Molden, ardent devotion to charity in his community has enabled him to donate over $35,000 of watches to teachers and staff across the nation, including bestowing the entire staff of his alma mater, E.E. Smith High School, Go Bulls, as a part of the SPGBK School Giving Program. And whereas his watch company has experienced extreme growth and achieved major retail distribution in over 250 stores, including Nordstrom's, Macy's, Belk, and recently one of Oprah's favorite things in 2023. His company has also garnered major press, including Good Morning America, Oprah, New York Times, Afrotech, and much more. And whereas Kwame proudly celebrates his Fayetteville Origins, through his watch. Each model is designed as a tribute to a local school or community with a symbolic watch band to match. Now, therefore, I, Mitch Colvin, Mayor of the City of Fayetteville, North Carolina, on behalf of the Fayetteville City Council, do hereby proclaim the 21st day of December in the year 2023 in honor of Kwame Molden. Thank you, sir. Well, thank you, Councilmember Thompson. Mr. Molden, you'd like to have words, sir?
Yes, sure.
He's a bull first. He's a go to bull first, sir.
It's right here. Oh, we're gonna. Okay.
When we launched the company, we were all about going on the internet and just selling our watches to whoever could buy. There was no story, there was no emotional connection. We really went back home and started to, start from scratch, building an identity, proudly representing that we're a Black-owned company, communicating the things that are important to us as brand owners. Hi, my name is Kwame. I'm the co-founder and president of Spring Break Watches, and this is my story. I love this picture because if you put yourself in the 90s, a starter jacket was a big deal. I was always an extremely stylish kid, but growing up in Fayetteville, you didn't have that much access to the things that you wanted to wear. I've always been able to accessorize and add things to make me stand out, as you can see. Maurice is my best friend, co-founder. He helped me start this company. We went to preschool together, ended up going to high school together. We actually went to college together. This is us at 19 and 20 in North Carolina A&T State University. He became my college roommate, and the one thing that we both liked was watches. We didn't have a lot of money at the time, so I would buy 2 watches, he would buy 2 watches, and then we would swap them out. So he's the first person I called when I was looking to start Spring Break. Leaning all the way into who we are is what we want to do. Incorporating personal experiences and where we're from into the watches, that's what Spring Break is all about. This watch is the most special watch in our collection. It's also the best-selling watch in our collection. I love this watch because it's named in honor of our high school. It's called the Smith. Everybody in my family went to this school, and both me and Maurice graduated from there. Just to have a watch that honors that, and everybody within our community, is priceless. This picture is at Herald Square in New York. I love this picture because it shows me in front of the largest Macy's in the country. It shows me how far Spring Break can actually take it. For me, walking into Macy's for the first time and seeing our product there, it was incredible. I used to shop in this store. Now we're actually in the store, and we're next to big brands that I dreamed of being next to, and brands that I actually wore. It's just a full circle moment, really special to me. This is a very special picture to me. This is me and my 2 daughters. Everything that I do in my life is centered around making sure that they have the opportunities that maybe I didn't have or me and my wife didn't have. I just want them to know that you can be yourself, be who you are, build something by yourself, and just to never give up. I want to help Black-owned businesses understand that who you are, where you come from is good enough of a story to tell to grow your business. Share this video to help celebrate Black History Month.
Thank you. Gratefulness is flowing through my heart. So just want to, there's not much I can say after that. I think that's kind of sums up everything that we've done. But once again, my name is Kwame. I'm the co-founder and president of Spring Break Watches. We create colorful and impactful watches inspired by this exact community and culture. So I'm honored to be here today to receive this reward on behalf of my family, my co-founder Maurice, and the entire Spring Break team. I would like to thank the City Council and the City of Fayetteville and the Fayetteville Next for this huge honor. This will be really brief. I just want to take this moment to dedicate this award to my great-grandfather. His name is Thurman J. Andrews Sr. He was an incredible, hardworking man and entrepreneur. He actually worked at the Prince Charles Hotel right across the street from here. And the significance of this, he worked coming off the heels of the Reconstruction period, and it was in the 1930s, so this was during the Depression. So I imagine a Black man working as a bellman at the Prince Charles Hotel where affluent guests would travel and stay. He did not have the most enjoyable experience working there. So he sacrificed. So, fast forward today, I think it's extremely symbolic that his great-grandson is receiving one of the highest honors in the city, where he used to carry bags for tips. And I really hope that he's proud. So thank you once again for having me. This is not the end. This is only the beginning of the work that I'm going to do for Fayetteville and this community. So thank you.
Hey, Kwame, I got to get one of those Smith watches now.
So FYI, Councilmember Mario Benavente gave me the Pine Force watch.
Great job. It's always great to highlight good, positive people. Speaking of which, we've got an old guy I need to recognize here. So, many of you have heard his very familiar voice on the radio in the mornings, keeping up with city issues and talking about the things that are happening in and around our community. You know, oftentimes we get national and state news, but to keep the focus on what's going on in your community, in your city, Mr. Jeff Goldie Goldberg, if you can meet me at the podium, please, sir. Goldie.
Mayor.
We would like to make a special presentation to you for the good times, the bad times, but your commitment and your love for the city. I would like to present you with the highest award that we're able to give anyone, and that is the key to our city. And it reads as follows. On behalf of the Mayor and City Council of Fayetteville, North Carolina, our city key and coin are proudly presented to Jeff Goldie Goldberg in grateful recognition of his devoted interest and untiring commitment to the community for over 40 years in radio. Presented December 11th, 2023 is when we ordered this, but presented to you today in 2024. Happy retirement, sir.
I get to speak?
I know you're used to the mic, so yes, sir.
Nobody told me I was going to get to make a speech. When Susan and I moved here 18 years ago, after 30 years on radio and TV in Washington, D.C., I think Susan thought we'd be here for 5 years. And here we are 18 years later, and this place really has grown on us over those 18 years. It's been a great second chapter. Local news is vital to any town or city. All of you sitting up there, all our city council members know that. Our city manager knows that. Without a local TV station here in town, we're dependent on Raleigh to cover Fayetteville, which I think we all know they just don't do, unless it's a grisly murder or something that happens on post. So having a show on WFNC for the last dozen years and getting to interview everybody you see behind a microphone here, and getting to do candidate forums, and getting to question the police chief and the mayor. Mayor Colvin came on every Thursday morning for years. There are not a lot of mayors that would do that. Mayor Colvin did that for me, and that lent a lot of credibility to Good Morning Fayetteville. So please continue to support local news. You may not realize how important it is, but especially in a town like Fayetteville that doesn't have much of it, it's very, very important. So please continue to support WFNC. Even though I'm no longer the host of Good Morning Fayetteville, I hope you still listen every morning on WFNC. Tomorrow morning, I happen to know that the chief is going to be on because he told me. So I imagine that there'll be some questions for Chief Ken Braden. We've also got some candidates on tomorrow morning, and I know they're going to be doing candidate interviews right on through the primary. So thank you, Mayor. Thank you, all my friends on the council. Thank you for coming on the show and being so available to me. And again, you don't know how much this means. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, everybody. And thanks to my program director, Kelvin Colbreth, who came out tonight, too. He's got to get up early in the morning. So, Greek, thank you. And to my wife, I love you. Thank you very much.
I was about to say, you better clean that up before you go back.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for your years of service. Council, as we... Oh, yes. If we could have Ms. Jackson, if she could...
And the triple nickel.
And the triple nickel, members of triple nickel, they can meet me at the podium, please.
So welcome, everyone.
Hi.
So the mayor's going to meet you down there, and we have a little presentation from the city and a thank you to you. We will have your certificates to you in the mail soon. So to tell a little bit, these are part of the triple nickel. And Miss Jackson, just to give you a little history about her, I met her probably 6 years ago when we had one of, I think it was Hurricane Florence, and there was nowhere to eat in Fayetteville because we were in a 500-year flood. And I got the honor of going to celebrate with the Burger King family and how they helped us, and they helped the city workers, and they helped everybody through our Hurricane Florence to feed us, because I don't know if a lot of you remember, everything was closed down and they kept working. So through that revolved a friendship. So what we would like to do is recognize part of the Triple Nickels, that they were part of the Wreaths Across America. They raised money to go to all the military veterans from the Samuel Council Triple Nickels resting places for our veterans. Fayetteville is the home of lots of military veterans, and again, I have to say it, we are the largest neighbor to the largest military installation in the world. And with that being said, we would like to present you a city coin, an All-American city coin that we are very proud of. And I'm going to start out with Howard Braxton, who is a veteran. Are you here, Mr. Colvin has a?
No, he's not here.
He's not here? Okay. Chancellor Johnson, Jr. Come on and get a coin. Twyla D. Jefferson. Marley Williams. Anthony Mings. Nathaniel Rainey. And of course, Miss Patricia Jackson. Thank you so much for your volunteerism for Wreaths Across America. Ms. Jackson, would you like to say a few words?
Oh, sure.
Or are we going to do pictures first?
We'll do a picture first.
Yeah.
Just take a step back for me, please. Let's see, if you can come on this side for me.
Yeah, okay. Come on.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Patricia Ann Archie Jackson, and I am a Samuel Council Triple Nickel here in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and I am also a member of our Stormwater Advocacy Board. For the past 6 years, I have been purchasing and laying reeves for Reefs Across America here in Sand Hills Cemetery. Last year, there were 8,000 reeves laid at Sand Hills resting places for arresting veterans. And this year, we laid 9,900 reeves at Sand Hills. And I took 10 reeves to Lafayette Cemetery because over at Lafayette Cemetery, there are 2,000 veterans laid to rest there. We are an all-American city because of the life and the sacrifices that these fallen soldiers, as well as their spouses, paid for freedom and our liberties that we all have today. On October the 28th at Cycle Gear on McPherson Church Road, I partnered with Mr. Anthony, the store manager, to do a Reefs Across America fundraiser, along with Miss Marley, Miss Twyla, Mr. CJ, Mr. Howard, and our South Regional Chairman, Trooper Nathaniel Rainey. We successfully purchased reeves for these fallen veterans and their spouses. These are veterans giving back to veterans, and when you teach a young student early the meaning of giving back in the United States flags for the veterans, it's a win for us all. I thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Ms. Kathy Jensen and the City Council for the great response, because these 6 Fayetteville citizens is what we need more of in our city today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Thank you, Triple Nickel, for the work that you do in our community for our veterans. With that, council, we'll move to the approval of the agenda. If we can have a motion to approve, and we'll work off of the keyboards. I have a motion by Councilmember Hare, seconded by Councilmember Thompson. Any discussion on the motion to approve the agenda? All right, council, I'll look to you for your votes on this. Who are we missing? Who's the other vote? What's your vote on that, council member? All right. All right. Motion carries. Motion carries unanimous by those voting. All right, moving to item 7.0 is the consent. Councilmember Green. 7.01, you wanted to amend that?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to pull the October 9th, 2023 minutes from item 7.01 and make it item 11.03 for a separate vote.
Can you, if you could, consider, can you make it a separate item under the 7-point section, so it'd be 7.016? Madam Attorney?
Mayor Coven, I did advise that it not go under the consent agenda. 7.0 is the consent, and she's not
Okay, so you can put it
gonna
at the
support
end
that.
at the end of the meeting, is what you're
That's
proposing?
the most appropriate place for this meeting,
Okay,
Mayor.
all right. So there's a motion by Councilmember Green to approve the consent with the exception of the October 9th portion of 7.01 to make that a separate item, 11.03. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. Is there a second? All right, seconded by Councilmember McNair. Any discussion on the motion? All right, council, I'll look to you for action on that. All right, Madam Clerk, that motion is unanimous by those voting. Moving along to the public forum. This is a time that any Fayetteville resident may have input and a voice
Mayor
in what
Coven.
goes on in their city.
Excuse me, Mayor Coven, did we approve the consent agenda? I know we moved her item.
Thought we did. I thought her motion was to approve with that, with the exception and to add that. It was a two-step. Did you want it separated?
Was that your motion?
Okay, so, all right, I repeated it. I thought you had it. Okay. All right, so you pulled it, and then you voted to add it to the other one. So now we need a motion to approve the other items under consent. Is there a motion? All right, there's a motion by Councilmember Thompson to approve the consent, seconded by Councilmember Hare. Any discussion on that? All right, council, I look to you for your votes. All right, Madam Clerk, that's unanimous by those voting. Moving to the 8-point item, the public forum. This is a time that any Fayetteville resident may have input and a voice in what goes on in their city. Due to policy restrictions, the public forum shall not last any longer than 15 minutes. Mayor shall have the discretion at the end of the public forum to extend up to 30 minutes. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes apiece to address the city council on issues related to the city. Individuals desiring to speak at tonight's public forum should have signed up with the city clerk prior to the start of tonight's meeting. If you're here to speak on items that may be on tonight's agenda under public hearing, ask that you would please consider reserving those comments until the public hearing. When your name is called by the city clerk, ask that you please come to the podium. Please clearly state your name and address for the record. Then, when the light on the podium or when you're notified to speak, you'll begin and you'll be notified when you have 30 seconds remaining to speak. And at the conclusion of your time, you'll be notified that your time has expired. Again, due to policy restrictions, we're unable to extend the given time. With that being said, Madam Clerk, if you could call the first speaker.
Yes, sir. We have 14 people signed up for this evening. Our first speaker is Miss Rudlin Brown. Miss Rudlin Brown? Not present. Mr. Joseph Wheeler?
Good evening, Mr. Wheeler.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, City Council. Tonight, first, I'd like to recognize that this is the first City Council meeting I've been to where there are more unhoused people here than there's ever been, including children. So I want you all to recognize that as well. And I'd like to thank everybody who came in support of this meeting. Tonight, I'm here to discuss the busing that was done of the unhoused members in the city by Deanna Braggs out of this city from the homeless. And I just have something that I'd like to read. And that is the idea of busing our homeless citizens out of Fayetteville did not begin on December 20th, 2023. Ms. Braggs actually has proposed the idea sometime earlier to Police Chief Braden, and he rejected it. Yet on December 20th, 2023, 14 citizens were bused from the city of Fayetteville, North Carolina, to the Durham Rescue Mission on one-way tickets out of Fayetteville for the homeless. And that was sponsored by Deanna Braggs, the homeless coordinator for the Fayetteville Police Department, the Day Resource Center, and under the leadership of Mayor Mitch Colvin. Participants were told that they could choose to go to a place with available shelter. Initially, many chose to go only to find out that Deanna Braggs had not vetted the availability of beds or informed anybody in the homeless community of Durham Rescue Mission's cult-like requirements. Those requirements include, 1, people cannot have a job for 7 months. They have to work 40 hours at $1.25 an hour, and despite the CEO making $450,000 a year, they are not allowed to have cars. They are forced to participate in church and religious practices regardless of what their own personal affiliation is, and there are strict dress code requirements for women. No leggings, no off-the-shoulder blouses, etc. So without being fully informed, many boarded a retired school bus from Rockfish Church commissioned by Miss Deanna Braggs against her supervisor's suggestions. She is doing this as a direct result of the no camping ordinance that the city has in place. Cities choosing to handle their homeless population by busing them elsewhere is not a new concept, and not one that our city is unfamiliar with. In fact, in November of 2019, New York bused 6 homeless families with vouchers here to Fayetteville as a result of the SOTA program. Mayor Mitch Colvin then stated that he felt like Fayetteville was the largest recipient, and it was troubling for him. He was quoted as saying, "I really didn't have a vast understanding of the concept." They were taking the problems related. I actually have this. I can submit it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wheeler. Appreciate it.
Miss Lizette Rodriguez.
Good evening, Ms. Rodriguez.
Good evening. Hello, Council and Mayor. I'm also here to voice my concern about the treatment of our unhoused community members that happened while the city was on holiday. On December 20th, I showed up at the Day Resource Center to find 20 unhoused residents about to be bused to Durham Rescue Mission. And I don't have time to rehash all the chaos, confusion, and heartbreak that I witnessed, but I do want to touch on a few examples. First, I take issue with someone in a position of power who works for the city not doing their due diligence when it comes to providing resources and clear, accurate information to the unhoused community. When it's 30 degrees outside, this is a life or death situation. No one told the people on that bus where they were going, had cult-like requirements that you can't have a job for 7 months and you have to work 40 hours a week for a shelter, who has a CEO that makes $450,000, and that the shelter itself makes $17 million last year. Luckily, 5 people got off that bus after this information came to light, including a mother and her 4-year-old who were hoping to start a new life. She was clueless about these requirements, including the ones requiring people to participate in religious practices and forbidding them from having a car. I had an 18-year-old come up to me asking if I had information about the shelter, and I asked Deanna Braggs to her face if she could confirm if there was room at this shelter and for all the people on the bus, and she could only answer by telling me the shelter's total capacity, not their immediate availability. I had to look this boy in the eye, and I had to tell him this was a gamble, and he didn't want to go, but he gave it a shot because he didn't want to be separated from his brother. A few days later, myself and Joseph helped coordinate transportation for him and his brother and one other person back to Fayetteville because this city failed them and they were stranded with no way back. I also take issue with Councilwoman Courtney Banks McLaughlin applauding this effort to ship problems off to another city that is also dealing with homelessness and limited resources. This happened as community members were asking questions and trying to get clarity on the situation. So here are my asks. Number 1, I'm requesting the names and contact information of all the people who went to that shelter so we can attempt to contact them and coordinate transportation because the community is going to step up and help them, not you guys. Number 2, I'm requesting the city allocate money to the Day Resource Center so that it can be used as a white flag shelter. Number 3, hire a OCS director. That money has been sitting there since June. What are we waiting for? We can have a mental health response team on the ground this year if you just put your mind to it. And number 4, since September, the city has been sitting on a permit so that the county can build a homeless shelter. So now that election season has passed, you are all safe. Go ahead and approve. Go ahead and set the public forum and approve the permit.
Thank you, Ms. Rodriguez.
Miss Angela Malloy.
Good evening.
Good evening, Ms. Malloy.
Many of you that have me on social media, I'm supposed to be in winter hibernation. I'm not supposed to be out doing all this. But when I got the call on December 20th that people were being bused, and I had something written, but I don't want to go with that. When people were being bused to Durham, I got out of my home, came out of my garden, and went downtown to an unorganized situation. It bothered me at the fact that there were individuals that were being given information on going to a place. It was not well vetted. I got the information directly from Deanna that she Googled this resource, didn't vet it, and when I was able to call someone who was a fellow advocate up in Durham, the first thing she said was, "Oh my goodness, please don't send anyone to that place. Organizations here in Durham know that it's problematic." It was a simple phone call, but because Deanna chose to just Google it and not have an active plan in place when there is the white flag established, that is problematic. I met this young lady, Brianna, there. She was one of the individuals that was going to get on the bus. The 18-year-old, I have children and grandchildren, and this young man was looking like, "Ma'am, what do I do?" It bothered me also that Councilwoman Courtney Banks McLaughlin took the time to applaud and give accolades to Deanna. Like I told her that day, this was not the time to do that. The time to do what to do was to make sure that there were individuals that were looking for answers and they were getting confusing messages and taking a chance on going to a city that they knew nothing about with the potential of being unhoused in that city. Individuals were brought back. Thankfully, Brianna did not get on that bus because this would have been a very bad situation for her. I'm not going to, do you want to say something? Do you have anything to say? Okay. We were able to, I spent a whole day with her. I got to see the process that y'all assume is working well. Driving a car, it took us over 7.5 hours to go from resource to resource. That was me driving her around. Think about if she was walking around with her 4-year-old daughter. The place that she was told that they had a place for her to stay, at the moment they said they didn't. We were able to get her a space in there, and there are also conditions that you all don't know about. So again, like it was said, get a director of OCS, fund it completely so we can have people from the community that are doing the work that is not meant for our institutions to be doing. It's as simple as that, because what's going to happen is we're going to keep having situations like this. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Malone.
Mr. Joel Cook. Joel Cook. Miss Sharon Moyer.
Hold on a minute.
Oh,
That's Mr. Cook.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I apologize.
Good evening, Mr. Cook.
Good evening. How y'all doing?
Good.
Joel Cook, 6816 Torrance Lane. Since the last time I spoke to this council about a month ago, at least 2,000 additional Palestinian civilians, 1,000 of them children, have been killed in the ongoing genocide in Gaza. In the last 24 hours, 249 were killed. I just got that notification a few minutes ago. High-ranking Israeli officials have called explicitly for ethnic cleansing, and one went so far as to call for Gaza to look like Auschwitz. U.S. officials at the federal and state levels have blatantly refused to acknowledge that our country is enabling a genocide. I've spoken through email and phone calls with representatives on every level. And at best, they've been dismissive, and at worst, they're bloodthirsty. They are encouraging this. And this is all in despite of, on the national level, 80% of our nation across all political parties supports the ceasefire. These responses have shown me that the only representation that we have left is you all, the local level. So I ask again for you all to vote yes on the proposed ceasefire resolution for Palestine. On the local level, I want to quickly speak about our houseless population as well. They too are at risk of cleansing, as shown by the irresponsible busing attempts that happened this past December. I was also present for that. And I share the concerns of the others who spoke to the council as well. These people are humans, just like you and I ask that you support funding for the Office of Community Safety and legislate in a way that treats them with the dignity and respect that they deserve. Thank you.
Miss Sharon Moyer.
Good evening, Ms. Moyer.
Good evening. My name is Sharon Moyer. I live at 301 Broadfoot Avenue in District 2 in beautiful Haymont. Good evening, council members, Mayor Pro Tem Jensen, Mayor Colvin. Thank you all so much for your public service. As some of you know, I have a rare form of incurable cancer that has caused a tumor in the back of my right eye. I had 2 surgeries in October, and I was temporarily disabled with a visual impairment that rendered me unable to drive. While I've been an occasional bus rider, during the period where I could not drive, I rode the bus consistently. And once again, I found our bus system to be excellent. While riding the bus has been a great experience, what has not been a great experience is navigating crossings. You all know we have an issue with insufficient sidewalks, but in my experience, we have a bigger issue with insufficient crosswalks. The mall serves as a transfer station, but did you know there is not one crosswalk connecting the mall to any businesses across Morganton Road or Skybo? Not one crosswalk. Also, there's not one crosswalk to and from Westwood Shopping Center. I have seen families with young children get off the bus in front of the coffee scene and scurry across the street to do their shopping at Westwood Shopping Center. Also, it seems silly to me that intersections have wheelchair cutouts. I know they have wheelchair cutouts because that's the law. The law isn't to have crosswalks. This is our opportunity to do something because it's right, not because the law mandates it. So once again, I'm here to ask you to use some of the $85 million in public safety and public infrastructure bonds to paint crosswalks at major intersections, as well as every intersection where a bus stops. Those of us that ride the bus on a regular basis are just trying to get through the city and navigate our daily lives. I spoke with Councilmember Green last month, and I invited her to meet me at my home with a destination in mind, and we would navigate the bus system together. I promised her it would be easy to navigate, but she would see how crossing the street to reach her destination would be a challenge. I would like to extend that same invitation to each of you on the dais this evening. We can certainly meet at my house. The clerk has my information, my email and phone number. Some of you already have that. And we can ride the bus together and actually experience how difficult it is to cross streets in this community. And with my remaining time, I want to remind everyone here tonight and watching at home to get your annual eye exams and make sure that your exam includes retinal imaging. It may be an extra cost, but it is worth it. Thank you so much.
Miss Margie McLean.
Good evening, Ms. McLean.
Good evening. My name is Margie McLean. I live at 2141 Fargo Drive. I'm here to petition to have my building, my commercial property at 901 Person Street to be removed from the demolition list. I am a teacher, first year here in Cumberland County, but I have lived here all my life. I was a part of the Great Split on Murchison Road, so I'm a bulldog, actually, and not a bull. I'm here because I work at Sunnyside Elementary, and on that side of town, I have noticed that there is absolutely nothing for our kids to do there. They are dealing with a lot of mental issues as well, dealing with some homelessness as well as hunger. Since I've been there, started, I have given coats to kids, along with my nonprofit, Margie McLean Foundation, which is a 501c3. Along with another organization, we fed 20 families, giving them a full Thanksgiving meal. And we are also doing some other things, getting ready to start a mentoring program called Ladies Equality, which I started at, was one of the ones who started at Terry Sanford High School. With that being said, we want to be able to have, me and my mother want to be able to have a building, which we already have, to house the programs that I do with my nonprofit organization. And we have had sponsors. I'm a member of Fayetteville Junior League as well. They have came and partnered with me with my community baby shower, which this would be my 5th one this year. I also have given toys and also given out school supplies to 200 children. And I've done that all at that building. That building was my father's building, which he left me, and he left unexpectedly March 20th, 2020. And me and my mother have been dealing with a lot of that, being that we lost 3 people in the first 3 months of 2020. And with that being said, we have worked hard to try to figure out ways to get that building up to par. We have talked to those at the city, but one of the things we found out is whenever we talk to one person, we talk to another, they give us 2 different answers of what we need to do. And so we just pretty much been running around. And I do have correspondence where I have been emailing Mr. Cunningham, talked to Mr. Planner, talked to Mr. I think his name is Newman, I have all of that in here where we've been constantly talking to someone to tell us what to do. We also had people to come and look at our building, but we don't want to pay two arms and a leg to get the building fixed if the city's going to go ahead and tear it down anyways. We have already started working on the building, putting on a new roof, but some of the things that the city asked us to do, we had to find a contractor, at least that's what we was told, to get the roof done before we can do anything else. But it's been hard to find someone to be honest with us and not charge us so much money to get the building fixed. But we recently found someone. And again, like I said, we have worked on that. So I want to be able to petition to take our building off so I can do what I need to do with my nonprofit.
Thank you, Ms. McClain. Ms. McClain, 2 questions. Well, we'll get somebody from Development Services to get with you to kind of find out what the inconsistencies are. And
yes, sir.
Because what you're saying is you've been asking what it takes to get it back in good standing.
Yes.
And you hadn't been able to get
One minute is we need license, 1 minute we don't. We came to a meeting about 2 months ago and found out, well, if you're only doing so much work, you really don't need that.
Right.
If you only, so it's like we just got so much, and I do have
we'll
that
get
correspondence.
And then Sunnyside Elementary, where is that? Is that in the city? That's not in the city.
Yes, that's off of Sunnyside. I talked to,
Okay.
So it's right down the street from Kinlaw's.
Kinlaw,
So,
okay,
yes, sir.
okay.
Mhm.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Hewitt, can you have somebody from Development Services get with her? Okay. Madam Clerk.
Miss Elizabeth Robar.
Good evening, Ms. Robar.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Troba. I live
Troba,
at Troba. I live at 1413 General Lee. And like so many people, me and my husband are a military family. And in November, I returned from a 7-month deployment. And that was November 18th. And on November 20th, I came home from the gym, and my little dog came out the front door to greet me, and he gets really excited, and he pees. So we let him out, and he does his lap around. And he went nose to the ground and went straight across the street right as the car came and hit him. I ran to my dog, and he looked me in the eyes. He breathed 2 more breaths and then died. I live 100 feet from a park. While I am bereft about my dog, it is nothing if it had been somebody's toddler. Cars rip up and down my street all the time, and the worst offenders are actually school buses and trucks. At that moment, the truck that hit my little dog was going 30 miles an hour. It takes twice as long to stop at 30 miles an hour than it does at 20 miles an hour. I just request that we think about traffic calming in our neighborhoods and around our parks to help protect the children, and as some people have already mentioned, those who are navigating our streets, having to cross our streets, more speed humps, more slow calming zones in our neighborhoods where pedestrians are navigating. Moms are often pushing baby strollers, joggers are out, elderly are out in my street all day, every day, and people rip through there pretty routinely. And I know it's not just my neighborhood, it's everybody's neighborhood. So that's all.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Chelenko-Hurst.
Madam Clerk, what's our overall time tracking on that?
We have another 12 minutes, sir.
Okay. I had a council member that was questioning that, so I wanted to clarify that. Mr. Hurst, good evening.
Good evening.
Your Honor.
These individuals standing with me, I come to address the city council, not in an official capacity as far as a civil rights or activist, but as a black parent. These individuals standing with me, the only thing they seek to address is the missing children in this city of color and children who have been murdered and lack of, in their eyes, in my eyes also, of more diligent communication between the public safety sector of law enforcement. I've had some call me and say, well, so-and-so concerning these kids, was they in good standing? In this country, we have people in the Senate and congressional and judicial branches who've had misdeeds, but they get granted a more supplemental assistance when their kids run astray. All of us as parents demand, if possible, the same consideration, the same communication, the same diligence. It shouldn't be a complex, a naive, something that is extraordinary. Our job as parents is to give our kids the tools to be successful. Now, what our kids do with those tools is upon them. And these individuals right here, they did their jobs as parents. And I pray none of us as parents will have to go through what they've been through. You want to speak, Ms. Melvin?
Well, I spoke with the detective earlier, and basically they need more investigators, detectives. They only have two. Well, they only have one, and then the lieutenant, and they just need some help because I know they can't do everything. So anything that I can do for my city, family, whatever, I'm here. I can do whatever I can. I'm here. Just say, I'm here. We need to find Evante.
We just want answers. Anybody and everybody that could help.
Thank you for your time.
Well, Chilico, just because you're using this as an opportunity for information, so a lot of people watching this, some might be the right person watching it. Real quick in your time, tell everybody about specifically what you're talking about. Tiana, you know, you and I have been talking, but give names.
So Evante McNeil, my son, has been missing since November 25th.
And give the web, Facebook or social media. I know I posted something about it, but
Right,
give your
so we can
information
meet,
so people can.
if you Google Evante name, Evante Jaquez McNeil, or my name, Tiana Melvin, everything pops up. We have been doing everything, passing out flyers. We've been from city to city. And we have no updates for almost 2 months now, and it's hard not knowing.
And I hate to cut you off, Council, because I had to give everybody equal time. But so if you have any information on Devontae or you'd like more information, go to Tiana's social media information on my personal page or any of the others, just so you can share information that may be helpful. So,
All right, and thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Andrew Bryant. Andrew Bryant. Mr. Rudy. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the City Council.
Hey,
Good
sir.
to see you. My name is Andrew Bryant. I'm a lifelong resident of Fayetteville, North Carolina. I grew up in the District 2 area. I moved out because of the flood. I moved back into District 2. And what I'm concerned about is the Fayetteville block. I grew up in that area. The area wasn't as bad as it was then. See, Fayetteville block was a small company. But they began to grow, and they began to grow, and they began to grow. And they began to take over the community. And what happens now, we see that they've asked for more extension. And then what they want to do is become what we call change the area to heavy construction. And they say, I heard that they just want to put some storage areas there. But if you need to do that, why you need to change it? And then, too, if we're going to do that with the community, we say we're all American city, and we're concerned, but has there ever been an air quality report about what Fayetteville block's doing? And do you have any intentions of doing those things? Because in that community, you have older people living there. You have younger people living there, too. And you say this community is about the can-do city. How can you consistently do things to people who have no resources and not to other people who have resources? So I'm asking that the board and come together and try to do some things, at least have it so that they have at least the opportunity to have the quality of air control, because we don't know what might be in that air. Because sometimes when it's in the summer, you have a lot of dust going in the air. Then you have noise late at night. Then also you have the smells. See, if someone was to do this to your communities, how you feel? And see, the Bible says, we should take about the least one of us and be concerned about all of us. And so that's what I'm asking this council to do, is to make sure that they don't have any more area that they have. They already have enough area. I believe they have 40 acres. Now they want 1.6. And what about the residents in that particular area? What are they going to do? And if they need some help, we need to make sure that we get the help, because I live in that area and I can tell you how it can be. And if they don't do something about the trees and things like that in order to block that dust, we don't know what might happen. But I do know, because of the dust, I don't know what's in the air. And I think you, as members of the city council and other government officials, should at least do an air quality control to find out if there is anything in that air and what we can do in order to rectify it, if that is an issue. So my concern would be for, first of all, to find out about what the quality of the air is in that particular area, not with the whole city, and then we can begin to make some kind of assessments as to what we might need to do in order to improve the area for the whole city. And I just want to thank you for the opportunity to speak, and I hope that y'all take some kind of concrete action and to do something that we make this better for the whole community rather than a few people in the community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Bryant.
Mr. Rudy Edwards.
Good evening, sir.
Rudy Edwards, 28303. My family opened BJ's Used Books on Murchison Road in 1981. I grew up in that store and I could talk for hours about its importance to the community. But for brevity's sake, let me just consider for a second what it meant to open a bookstore on Murchison Road in the 1980s and to have survived for 40 years. The council has a lot of plans for the Murchison Road corridor, hopefully for the well-being of Fayetteville in mind. But it seems to me that the demolition of the building that we're in is a top priority for those plans. And if that happens, it would likely put us out of business, leaving a hole where once the city of Fayetteville was incredibly strong. It's been a tough decade for booksellers. I'd like to talk to you about the process that you're a part of. I can't imagine many of you in the council have been on the wrong side of a demolition order, either as an owner or like us as tenants. But it is obvious from my end that the process doesn't prioritize transparency, not just to owners and tenants, but also to you, the decision makers. As tenants accused of no wrongdoing at all, you'd think the process would prioritize our well-being. But I've been told multiple times that the city has no responsibility to inform us of what's going on. In fact, it was only by accident that we found out that the building was being put on a demolition list at all. The owner didn't get a notification of it being on the November agenda until the week after the meeting. It was pure luck I found out about it from a city employee taking pictures of our building. So I told our landlord and reached out to the city council members and code enforcement, but the only response I got was to be told that if it passed, we'd have 10 days to vacate. Now, perhaps most of this process assumes that any building up for demolition is uninhabitable. If it wasn't for the fine work of the journalists at the Fayetteville Observer and at City View magazine, you all probably would have assumed that our building was vacant. The recommendation that you read about our building said that it had no utility since 2019, but our bookstore has had uninterrupted utility service since 1981. It implied the building was dangerous because of 911 calls made from the building. Now, I made 2 of those calls. One was because we're a place of safety in the neighborhood, and someone down the street ran to us when they felt threatened at their home. The other, I made at the advice of my friend, an FPD officer, when I realized that one of our customers in another county might be in danger at their home. The idea that these things were weaponized to imply the building is dangerous is scary. One council member pointed to the blurry pictures in the report and thought there was mold in the building, which we double-checked afterwards and relieved to see that it was just a bad picture. But the fact is that our building is on the demolition list mostly due to cosmetic violations. Now, when I finally spoke to some of you at that meeting, I was assured that the 10-day vacate notice was wrong and that the city would prefer the building be brought up to code rather than be demolished, and that we as tenants and business owners would be prioritized. We were told that we'd have plenty of warning if the worst did happen, but this past week, our landlord got a dateless notice to vacate, despite being told that he'd have at least 4 months to fix issues and to get off the demolition list. The notice made it clear that anything in the building would be confiscated by the city, and that means our stock and fixtures. Consider how scary this is for us with no idea of the timetable. Please let my perspective inform how you wield this power, not only on our building, but any time it's exercised. Thank you, y'all.
Thank you. And Mr. Hewitt, just so we make sure we're giving good information, I wasn't here when you when this issue came before us, but I do know the landlord, the owner. Notification. What's our notification process when we have a demo order? Yeah, I'm talking city manager.
I should be clear that Ms. Olvera is apparently going to talk to me after the meeting to talk about exactly how this is going to play out in the future.
Okay.
I
All right.
talked to her a little bit before this meeting.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so y'all have made contact.
Mayor and members of council, for something to end up on our demolition list, it is not weeks, it is not months, it is years of conversation that we have with them. And in the notices that we provide, we are very clear about the fact that if things are not fixed, it could end up toward demolition. Ms. Oliveira and her staff are working to identify opportunities to make sure that that's clearer before that action actually comes to council. But the violations were made aware. We made the owners aware of the violation some time ago. But we will reach out to him tomorrow, and I'd be happy to come back to council on the 22nd. I don't believe that we are anywhere near finding a contractor to actually remove or demo the building, and so we'll be happy to come back and give you a report at that time. But the violations were more than cosmetic.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Edwards. Madam Clerk.
Now we have surpassed the 30 minutes for a public forum.
All right. So we do have two people remaining, Ms. Graham, Ms. Lockamy, and Bishop McMillan. So council, the policy is that it's 30 minutes. Well, it's 15 minutes. I'm able to extend it unilaterally 15 more minutes. Not sure about the 30 minutes. So what we've done in the past, because I always like to try to give you an opportunity to speak, and this became an issue as well, to try to put you first on the next opportunity. But I really did want to hear from as many of you as I can. But again, as you heard me read in the beginning, 30 minutes is our time. So count. It is 30 minutes. Yeah, no, it's 30 minutes. It's 30 minutes. No, it's 15 initially. You can extend it to 30. Please don't speak from the audience. 30 minutes is what she just said we're at, which is the maximum that the policy is. I really want to hear from as many as have signed up, because that's what we encourage you to do. So, Council, yes. Yeah.
Mayor Cole, just this occasion, because I know that we have a policy coming up later tonight to kind of refine this, but just for tonight, before we shift to that new process, which I think is very fair. In the meantime, can I make a motion to extend us for 12 minutes, which is 3, 6, 9, I guess 3 more people to go?
All right, Council, is there a second to the second by Councilman Banks McLaughlin? All right, discussion on that? Questions, Council? All right, those in favor for extending an additional 12 minutes to hear the remaining speakers, please use your pads. All right.
I know it's changing after tonight.
I got you. Well, we want to try to accommodate, because they've signed up and did what they were supposed to do. All right, Madam Clerk.
So that's what I'm saying.
Our next speaker is Mr. Lewis Graham.
Good evening, sir.
First of all, good evening to the people. Thank you for coming out here. And
State your name for us.
My name is Lewis Graham. A lot of y'all may know me, a lot of y'all may not, but I came from Lumberton, North Carolina, and came down here trying for new opportunities. Within that duration, I've been doing a lot of hardship being on Pershing Street, because as for myself, I am homeless. I did consider myself into some of the institutions that was available through the resources that y'all have funded them. But within that time, I found a lot of hardships. So I really found myself on the streets being more productive than in a lot of these institutions and resources that you have gave. With that being said, though, a lot of people don't have identification cards to go into the institutions or birth certificates. And within that, what I'm trying to indicate is that if so be it, the idea that I have, or if it's already been visualized or spoken about, is that the people can have an institution or a place where it'll already be set up, where birth certificates will be implicated to help them with housing, and at the same time transfer them into where they can get their identifications and get a job, and automatically have like transportation for them to go to a job. Because these temp agencies that y'all got around here, it's not really like generating jobs for those who do not have a job out on Person Street. You know, as we ride by, and it's a city that say we can do, a city can do. I mean, why would they speak about a rescue mission coming to rescue people in your own city? It doesn't, how, that's why I'm saying that's in big, bold words, but this is a city that can do. So if you can do, y'all can underpay cut something and give the underclass a platform or a stool where they can step up and be treated as human beings. I'm not saying that everybody be treated as a dog once you see them carry their backpacks or across the road, but I'm tired of seeing these single mothers with strollers just carrying around because they don't have transportation, but at the same time, y'all can implement vans or durable things like that in that nature where they can call and have transportation, just like the bus routes. Y'all can have that for single mothers for bus routes, you know, so they can get them to point A to point B. And also implement a 24-hour daycare that can help, like how they have the housings that's based on income. I feel like y'all can like contribute somewhere in the city where it could be an income-based daycare of how much they make instead of having a set price, you know. I guess my time up, but that's all I really got to say. And hopefully that if it didn't reach somebody, that it reached somebody else that heard my
Sir,
message.
we're trying to get the rest of the speakers, but I do appreciate
All right,
your
thank
time. Your time's up. Thanks, sir.
Miss Felice Lockamy.
Good evening, Ms. Lockamy.
Good evening, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I'm here. My name is Felice Lockamy. I guess y'all know me already. I'm at 1118 North Street, and I'm here with my complaint about Fay Block. This seems to be encroaching on our whole neighborhood. We feel like it's unfair. He's been doing this. He got to break one law, and it seems like he goes right through. We're not being considered. I mean, you look out. He's got a sign up that says trucks entering highway. This is a residential zone. How would you like that to be in your neighborhood? Just to look out and see cinder blocks mounting up. The dust is true, and you're thinking he wants, you're getting storm water. Where is that water going? What's in those cinder blocks? What's in that dirt and that dust? And where is it going? Right to the Cape Fear River. We live in a neighborhood that you'd consider it maybe low income. We consider it home. And there's lots of great things around here. Lots of great people. If you just take the time, ride by and look and think, get out, take a deep breath. We have that. You can put your $1 million park down there. See if you want to enjoy it. Go down there and take a walk around, and take a breath. Look around, walk down the street, as a lot of people do, and take the scenery of the cinder blocks and the fences in. See what all things that Progress wants to do to our neighborhood and to the cemetery and to the property around it. We take care of our neighborhood. We're proud of it. It's home for a lot of us. Been home for a long time, and it's not fair. We don't think to just let someone come in and run over everything with what they call progress, and what's really destroying the property and destroying our neighborhood. Because Fayetteville is really a good place, and the people are fantastic here. But you're not. Are you respecting us the way you deserve to be respected? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Our final speaker this evening is Mr. Steve McMillan.
Bishop, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and
council members, like to say that it is a pleasure being here. I have very short words to say to the council. Thank God so much for Mr. Davis taking time to listen to the people in District 2. Like to say that to and some of the rest of the council members that listening, like to say to you that are on the council, take time to listen at your constituents and the people that put you in office. Like to say that also shortly and briefly that there is a great need throughout the city of Fayetteville. If Mrs. Mabel Smith or Christina Smith was standing here, right here today, they would say to you, why don't we do all we can for District 2, the district that's been forgotten about? I come to let you know today, Mr. Mayor and council members, that don't forget District 2. We need your help. We need parks, amen, that are great for children. We need splash pads over in the North Street area, the park that's been forgotten about. We need a whole lot of things over in that vicinity. I'd like to say thank you so much, Mr. Mayor, for doing an excellent job as being a mayor in this city of Fayetteville, along with the council members. My hat's off to all of you that are doing a great job. But listen to your people. They're the one that puts you in office. They're the one that puts you in office. They're the one can take you out of office. So I'm encouraging you to listen. Mr. City Manager, listen to the people. Listen to the voice of the people. They care for the city of Fayetteville. I am a native of Fayetteville and a community actor throughout the city of Fayetteville. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Bishop.
We have no further speakers.
All right. Thank all of you, our speakers for tonight who participated during the public forum. Item 9.0 is the public hearing. This time we are prepared to hold a public hearing where the City Council formally seeks your input. Individuals desiring to speak at the hearing must have signed up to speak with the City Clerk by name and address before the meeting. We begin with a staff presentation. I see Mr. Harmon has made his way to the podium. Then we'll move into the formal hearing. 15 minutes will be allowed for each of those in favor and those opposed of the item discussed during the hearing. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each unless by previous arrangement a single spokesperson has been designated, in which case the spokesperson may use the entire time. So again, when the city clerk calls your name at the conclusion of the presentation, ask that you please come to the podium. Please clearly state your name and address for the record. You may then begin to address the council. When the light it notifies you, you have 30 seconds remaining. At the end of your allotted time, you will be notified that your time has expired. With that, I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Harmon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. The first case we have tonight is a legislative hearing regarding case P2347. This is a request coming to you from Cumberland County government. They're being represented by Jimmy Kaiser of Kaiser, Mormon, and Wrightsville this evening. This is a conditional zoning from the MR5 that it currently is to a DT2 conditional zone. It's three properties over on Howley Lane. Altogether, they're a little under 2 acres, and this is in District 2. Zoning Commission did recommend approval of the rezoning. As we get into this one, I will just remind you or let you know that this is connected to a special use permit that we have later on your agenda. If the rezoning is not adopted with this item, then the SUP is void and no longer applicable because it can only be done in a commercial district. Just to give you a little bit of background as to how we got here, back in about June of this year, We got our first contact from the county about the process of taking these properties and developing them into some type of transitional shelter. In September, we reached back out to the county to offer them any additional guidance. In October, in October, we had a staff level meeting with city and county staff. We gave the county a timeline as to when the deadlines and when they would come due and when they would have different meetings, that type of thing. On November 14th, the Zoning Commission held a public hearing. Again, at that meeting, they recommended approval of the rezoning. And then at your November 27th City Council meeting, the rezoning was on your agenda as a consent item, and the SUP was on the agenda as well. It was tabled at that time at the request of Councilman Ingram, and the rezoning pulled for a public hearing tonight, and the SUP moved to the same council meeting. Just to give you an idea of where the properties are located, got Grove Street right here, Eastern Boulevard out here with Grove Street, Howley Lane coming off of Grove here, B Street over in this area. Currently, again, the properties are zoned MR5, and they do have DT2 zoning around most of the area. Our land use plan calls for office or institutional in this area. And these are a couple of photos. This is basically the subject property and then our surrounding properties here. Again, this is a conditional request of rezoning. And so the only proposed condition is to increase the maximum street front yard setback from 20 feet to 70 feet in the DT2 district that they're looking to go to. Unlike most districts where you have a minimum setback, in this one you have a maximum, so you can only be so far off the street. In order to match what is out in that neighborhood currently as far as how deep lots are and how deep houses are, they're looking to adjust that maximum street yard setback. Again, the analysis according to the future land use plan recommended that this area be office and institutional, and that does have a wide range of uses, as you can see in the list here, that are compatible with that particular district or use type. The Zoning Commission and city's professional planning staff have recommended that the city move to approve the map amendment to the DT2 conditional zoning based on that we feel that it meets or implements policies adopted in the future land use plan, those also found in the UDO. Again, the land use plan calls for the property to be developed as office and institutional, which includes government facilities, that the use is permitted by this proposed change in district and classifications are appropriate for the immediate area, and there's no other factors that would substantially affect public health, safety, or morals or general welfare. That's all of the staff presentation at this time, Mr. Mayor, and if you would hold any questions of staff until after your legislative hearing, it'd be appreciated.
Will do, sir. Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir. We have 4 people signed up to speak on this item. The first speaker is Mr. Jimmy Kaiser.
We'll probably need to open up the public hearing, I believe. All right. Mr. Kaiser, how are you?
I'm doing well. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, good evening. I hope you're all off to a wonderful start to the new year. Pleased to be here before you this evening. I would like to take a moment and tell you that I appreciate what you do for the city. I've been up there before. Sometimes it's a thankless job. So I do appreciate what y'all do. As Mr. Harmon went over, this is an extension of the existing Pauline Jones School site. So what we're looking to do is basically leverage the programs that FTCC currently has at the Pauline Jones School and combine that with a shelter site next to it. The county's purchased land. The land is currently zoned MR5. Will not allow institutional uses of any kind in MR5. So it's imperative that no matter what we do with the property in the future, we need to have it all zoned the same. Setback issues are different between the two zones, and it's important that everything's under one zone. The most logical zone is to keep the DT2, which is what the Pauline Jones School site is now, currently. There's also DT2 in the area around it on adjacent parcels. And if you take the MR5 out of the equation, the rest of the parcels in that area are actually like commercial. So it makes sense to do a continuation of the DT2, combine all the properties. Ultimately, they will all be on one piece of property. And then the setbacks will be for the whole site, not these individual parcels chopped into the middle of the site. So that's what we're here to do tonight. As Mr. Harmon said, because of the existing structures in the neighborhood, the 20-foot setback in this particular area for DT2 doesn't meet up very well with what's there. So we want to have some flexibility for when there is a facility design that we can get the setbacks to meet more in line, more in character with what's out there with the other structures that are present. I'll be happy to answer any other questions that you may have. Obviously, anything we do will comply with the UDO, comply with stormwater ordinances. The Pauline Jones site is a large site. There's already a good amount of existing impervious area there. We'll leverage that for any construction that we do on the site to minimize what additional stormwater implementation we may have to do. As I said earlier, this is a great extension, a reuse of existing property, and should add a benefit to the city addressing the homeless. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Our next speaker is Mr. Jermaine Walker.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and to the council members. Just like to reiterate Mr. Kaiser's comments and also just discuss the transitional housing facility that we call, at least right now, the Homeless Support Center, that it will be built to all Unified Development Ordinances, will comply with all UDO standards, and the site will be complementary to the existing FTCC facility and will be used for training courses for those experiencing homelessness.
Thank you, sir.
Our next speaker is Ms. Pamela Carter.
Good evening, Ms. Carter.
Do I have 15 minutes?
Okay. If you and Mr. Carter have talked about it.
Sure. Well, my name's Pam Carter. I live at 505 Link Street in the B Street neighborhood. I'm the B Street Community Watch contact person, and I've lived in the B Street neighborhood almost my entire life. I come before you again to ask you to deny and vote no to the county special permit request. I do want it known that I'm not against the project. It's just a location choice I think is inappropriate and wrong. The county has kept the project somewhat quiet, but it is to be a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week homeless shelter and support center in the residential neighborhood of B Street in lower downtown. A shelter of this magnitude should never be built within a residential neighborhood, much less a very small 4th Street troubled neighborhood. There's lots of unanswered questions, and I think the public deserves, to know. It's a disservice to the citizens of Cumberland County. County Commissioner Glenn Adams was quoted as stating, "The project will be good for everyone." And I know he's here tonight. I'd like to know whom the Commissioner Adams is speaking of. Good for the homeless? Our 4th Street small neighborhood has recently experienced gunfire, and we've had 2 murders by gunfire and a carjacking within days of each other. We've also had someone shot in the leg behind New York Restaurant on Adams Street. No one heard about it, though, because the person survived, thank God, so it didn't get put out in the public realm. We experience gunfire regularly. And without going into a lot of detail, most of you are or you should be aware of some of our decades-long neighborhood issues. Why would you place folks that are already experiencing scary situations in a scary, disadvantaged, impoverished neighborhood, such as B Street? That doesn't make sense to me. Some of the homeless folks seeking shelter at this new facility will be struggling with drugs and alcohol addictions. Housing severely addicted folks with a county liquor store and other drugs available within feet of this facility is just not a good thing. It would be very detrimental, not just to, the residents and the business owners, but it's going to be detrimental to the folks that you're saying, or the county is saying they want to help. They should have partnered with y'all when you were wanting to do the city resource center. I think there's going to be a duplication of services. Will it be good? Oh, come on. Will it be good for the homeowners when our already low housing values fall even lower? Will it be good for the new Habitat homeowners that were told that our neighborhood was going to get better and safer? No, it will not. Will it be good for the surrounding businesses that are already struggling to keep the business that they have in operation? We've had longtime business owners to permanently close due to the struggles and issues that occur on a daily basis when you have a large homeless population in the area. Will it be good for the single moms with small children, for the widowed elderly in the neighborhood? I don't believe it will. Please let me finish. I attended a zoning meeting recently.
Quick, Ms. Carter, we got strict rules on this, so real quick,
I know,
if you can
but
wrap it up.
there's 15 minutes.
Oh, yeah, why is it set at 3 minutes?
I attended a zoning
you have
meeting.
an additional person signed up.
Well, he'll let me. That's my husband.
Oh, okay. You didn't tell us that
Thank you,
part.
honey. Thank you. I attended a zoning meeting recently, and I heard
Set
a
it
local
out.
lawyer state that the zoning and planning should be what is in the best interest and what is the best possible use of the land. Harry Shaw grew up on Holly Lane. That's the way you pronounce it, sir. Holly Lane. Harry Shaw, he grew up on Holly Lane and playing in Cross Creek. And this is where all this land is. Y'all had plans, big plans for this land, not this. He knew how beautiful this land was, and he knew the public should have it to enjoy. And thanks to Mr. Shaw leading the way, we now have our beautiful linear park. Mr. Shaw envisioned what the best use of this land would be and should be. And I'm asking and hoping you, city council representatives, will do the same. Our lower downtown residential neighborhood is not the appropriate site for this project. I'm asking you to vote no and reject this special request. And the reason why I don't have a gang of people, because it's a 4th Street small little neighborhood with poor working people who have been decades and decades of conditioning to just accept what the government does, that you don't really have a voice, that they're going to do what they want to anyway. They're scared. Some of them don't come out after dark. So, and people don't want to look off like we're against the homeless, because we ain't. I want there to be a shelter. So it's not that, like I said again, I'm not against the project. It's the location. It's the location. And y'all used to care about B Street, and you wanted it to be something better. And I don't think the county now should be able to come in here and get that land, this valuable land that is just a few blocks from where this new multi-million-dollar event space is going to be, and use it for this. It's not right for the homeless. It's not right for the homeowners. It's not right for the surrounding business owners. It's not right for Fayetteville. It's not right for our lower downtown and our downtown area. I'm begging you on my knees, if I could get on my knees and get back up easy, I'm begging you, please do not approve this. It's not the best use of the land. It's not the best location for these at-risk, disadvantaged folks. It's not right for the residents of B Street. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Carter, you given your time or?
Yeah, how much is remaining?
Yeah, 15 aside. That was 5, 6. You've got 11 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Can we set the clock at the right thing instead of 3?
I can't set that. I can do it on here because that's only set for 3 minutes 15 or 5.
All right. All right, sir.
I want to say good evening, City Council. I'm Kevin Carter on 505 Link Street. I want to say real quick, I am loved by my wife, just so you know. Our county commissioner wants to build a homeless shelter in the B Street residential neighborhood. There are many unanswered questions that I have concerning this project. No data or figures or how many people it will house, how much the initial cost will be, how much is this valuable land is being sold for, how much will it cost to facilitate and maintain on a yearly basis, what is the county's plan for security for the facility, for the neighborhood? Will there be background and security checks? Why build it in our lower downtown district in a struggling small residential neighborhood of the B Street? Many unanswered questions. The church I'm a member of has an outreach program for the homeless. I ask the church to keep our neighborhood in prayer because of the poor decisions our county commissioners are making with wanting to build this project in our troubled neighborhood. And even as my church knows all the issues that the B Street is not a place for our homeless shelter, to the city council that has not even been on city council for the past 20 years are clueless of the issues that goes on in our neighborhood. History has shown the county commissioner and city council don't agree on many things. I hope you continue on that same pathway, not agreeing to put the homeless shelter in our neighborhood before we move forward to build an endless pit of money into a homeless shelter. We need to employ more police and social workers and increase their pay due to the state of mental health in the country at this time. I believe the police need all the resources they can get. I also would like to see ShotSpotter continued and expanded, as I believe it's working and I believe it's a great resource for the police. I'm asking that you vote no and deny the county this special permit.
No, we have no further speakers.
Okay. All right. So that'll close the public hearing. So council, this was just a public hearing as a part of the process. So no action is needed on that at this time. So moving to item 9.02. Councilmember Davis, you had something on this?
Yes, sir. I would like to table item 9.02 to January 22nd.
Mayor Colvin, if I may. Yeah. Oh.
So, thought that item was coming up at 10.01. Well, you was going to rezone it first. Okay.
Right, and there is a council action that's required on that, and I believe Councilmember Davis had a question on that item before we.
All right. So, Councilman Davis, you had a question on 9.01?
Sir, my question is to Mr. Walker. Have you all looked into a different location possibly for the shelter that you're trying to do?
And we do, pardon my manners, I can't see them from over here, but we do have the county manager, Mr. Greer, and Mr. Adams a little shorter than he is, so is the chairman still over there? Yes, sir. Why don't y'all come up front so we can see you? Yes. Oh, yeah, we got some questions for you. Your constituents got some questions for you.
I'm going to sit right up here in the front.
All right. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Do I need to repeat myself?
Yes, sir. Mr. Davis?
Yeah, my question was, have you all looked into a different location possibly for the shelter?
Thank you, and I'll take that. No, we haven't, because what we've done is this. We've had conversations with Cape Fear Valley Medical Center, Fayetteville Technical Community College, because we believe that this is not just a shelter where people come and stay overnight. This is going to have a shelter part, transitional part for single mothers with children and families. Then they're able to work with Fayetteville Tech to be able to move into, be able to have a, what we want to say, to be able to get a skill to move forward so that they're not back out on the street. We also have a part with affordable housing that's going to go right in that same area.
Thank you, sir.
So, Mr. Chair, I did have a couple of questions. You saw tonight, we've got several questions, I see. All right. So, we heard tonight, and you've heard this, we have a number of people here. When the city did the Day Resource Center, a number of people, and one of the conversation pieces that sparked the whole Durham Rescue Mission process was that we didn't have any overnight shelter. So with this being located where you're proposing it, how do you connect those people to the resources at the Day Resource Center? Was there any consideration given to how you do that, or is that a plan to have those same services on site?
Well, it's what we eventually believe is that with the collaboration with the city between the Day Resource Center and what we have here in this particular situation, we'll be able to enhance all of that for everybody, including the homeless that's in the area. So we're looking to basically collaborate at some point once we get this shelter up and running.
Okay, well, I got that part. I'm just trying to see from a logistical standpoint, the distance between where the resources are at the Resource Center and where this is proposed.
Well, we thought the city would give us some transportation back and forth since the city's in transportation mode. No, I think, though, that there is an ability to be able to transport these folk between the two places to be able to make this. I think what we need in this particular community is a seamless kind of working relationship. Neither one of us, neither the city nor the county, is going to be able to solve this problem alone. And you know, at the end of the day, the resources that we can put together to be able to do this is going to enhance all of this and move us as a community farther along than where we are right now.
And the last thing I'll say, I heard you say something about women and children. Is this only for women with children?
No, we've got, what we're talking about is when we build it, there's going to be a section. If you know anything about this community in terms of shelters and women and children coming together, or even single parents. So when we build this, there will be for men, for women, and then for families. So it's not your traditional, and we should have brought the whole, and we'll bring it to you and we'll let you see the whole presentation, because it is a tremendous presentation that we have in terms of being able to do this. It's not just to house somebody overnight. It's just to change people's lives, and that's what we're seeking to do with this.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you. So Councilmember Banks McLaughlin, Benavente here, and Councilmember Davis, did you press again?
Yep.
All right.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to be clear, there's no action that's supposed to take place tonight, because this is the second time this came to council as far as the rezoning.
If you go down to the evidentiary hearing, once you have the evidentiary hearing, you pass this, you can get to the evidentiary hearing, and then for the evidentiary hearing, you pass this for us to be able to do that.
Right, because the reason I'm asking, because
So
this
there's
has been
two
an
action items.
ongoing, right, it's been an ongoing
Right.
situation with the sheltering, and this is something that we've been wanting to take place. This shows partnership, just like a few individuals spoke when it's about homelessness. This is our opportunity to rezone this area and to allow a shelter to be built to help individuals. So I just wanted to be clear with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Councilwoman Banks McLaughlin. Councilman Benavente and Hare.
Mayor Coleman, I'm just trying to move this along. So I guess there's a couple more questions. I'm just ready to make a motion.
It is. Councilman Hare.
Thank you. Since we have the chairman up, I was thinking that my questions were going to be for 10.1. But since I do have you...
I don't like that one either, but go ahead.
Tell a little bit more about the facility. I was thinking it was going to probably be in 10.01, but since you're up, I want to know about this form of teaching that you're going to be doing to the clients. If the clients are going to be staying overnight, men and women and families, is there some form of financial provision that's going to be given to them, or stiflings, or whatever the case may be that you might want to call it? What is going to be your measuring stick of success if it is to move forward? And I travel B Street, if no other time, every Thursday about 1 o'clock. And of course, I see a number of people standing around on corners and on stairways, set of steps where there are no buildings, and in corners. And is there going to be some form of assistance to help move that traffic along, or some assistance for those folk? Because I'm pretty sure that if this passes and the building goes forward, that it's going to be drawing more of the people of need.
Councilman Harris, it depends on who you're talking about standing on that street corner. If it's the homeless, that's what the population that we're going for.
Yes, it's the
everybody
homeless
that's standing on that corner that you see, not necessarily homeless in that area. And so that you'd have to talk to law enforcement about. But what we're talking about here is there is going to be an overnight shelter for people who just want to come in and get out of the cold and be able to do that. Then there's the second part of it, which is the housing part of it, to be able to say, not only do I not want to be sheltered for the night, but I want to be moving back into the mainstream of society. So I want to be able to have somewhere to stay, put my bags down, and then I can then go over to Fayetteville Tech, which is right next door, and take these classes to be able to enhance my ability to get a job and move back into society and being a productive member. This is about enhancing those lives of the people that are there. May not get everybody off that street, because everybody off that street may not want to get off the street. I can't make people get off the street, but I can provide a facility that if that's their desire, if that's their want, that we will be able to do that from a county standpoint.
Now,
We've got a tie-in from Fayetteville Technical Community College. We're even talking about possibly bringing a clinic down from Cape Fear Valley to be in this with those residents we have. We're about to build a new medical school with Cape Fear Valley. All of that is part of seeing this whole area. It will transform this area, but not just that area. It's not just those the homeless. When we get this program set up with Fayetteville Tech, citizens from Cumberland County that want to get in that program can get into the program also. We gave out of our art funding money to Fayetteville Tech to be able to have our citizens come in without pay to be able to get into these programs, to be able to get welding, to be able to get plumbing, to be able to do that. This county is ready and willing and able, and that's where we're moving on this. This is to better this entire community, not just B Street, but the city of Fayetteville and the county of Cumberland.
Okay, and thank you for your
Yeah, well, you say passing, but okay. But also, could you also answer for me? So how is it that you're going to be measuring success? What's going to be where you can look in 6 months, a year, or whatever your time limit you want to put to that and say, this is where we've been successful?
Well, here's the success. First is to increase the beds in this community so folk are not out on the street.
And that was going to be
That's
one of
the
my
very
questions.
first. That is the very first is increasing the beds in terms of building the shelter.
And what's the
That's
number?
a win.
What's the number?
We haven't, in terms of how you rezone this and when we look at the setback is when we'll be able to determine that. But that's one thing is to increase beds. We've already did a survey of the number of beds that's needed in this community. We're trying to get us there. That's one win. The second win is that when we sit down to do this program, if we can move 1, 2, 3, it doesn't even matter. If you can change the life of one person, we've done something. But we're looking to do much more than that in this particular instance. And I think that's where we're headed with this shelter.
Thank you, sir. I'm glad to see where you all are tonight, the
Thank
county. So thank you, sir.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. Councilmember Hondros and McNair.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Having served for the last 18 months or so with my colleagues, Councilmember Benavente and Councilwoman McNair on the Homeless and Mental Health Committee, for me personally, the two big things that came out of that was personal knowledge and edification on the kind of the inner workings of the different programs. There's a lot of government programs that work with the unhoused community, a lot of partnerships with nonprofits. And then the second thing was the gaps in service, which some of those have been mentioned tonight. Similar to our Day Resource Center, which is not a silver bullet or a magic wand that's going to end homelessness, this project's not going to do that either, but we have to work together. And I think if this can help fill one or more of those gaps in service, it's a worthy thing. So just my feelings. Thank you, sir.
Mayor Coben, I just wanted to make sure that we're all clear that we're on the rezoning piece of this. So we're just talking about the zoning and not the...
Right.
Right, yeah.
I'm just talking about the rezoning. That's why I talked about the setback.
All right, thank you.
I got you.
All right, Councilmember McNair.
I just wanted to say thank you, Mr. Adams, for your presentation tonight. Also, you have made my baby jump. I'm excited, and I would like to see the layout as soon as possible. When can we see that layout so that we can have a visual?
What I'll do is I'll talk to, we got the manager here and Mr. Jermaine. I actually can give you that, but it's actually a presentation. You can see the presentation, but I thought they probably brought some with you tonight and we can give that to you. But there's probably a presentation that you can also see in terms of the entire layout of the program.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm excited.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, I think we've covered it. Councilmember Benavente. Or Councilmember Davis, you had something?
Yes, sir. I'm just prepared to make my motion.
Okay. You had the floor, sir.
All right. Well, I move that council approves the amendment to the DT-2/CZ as presented based on the evidence submitted and finds that the rezoning is consistent with the future land use plan as demonstrated by the attached consistency and reasonableness statement.
All right, it's a motion by Councilmember Davis, seconded by Councilmember Benavente. Discussion on the motion presented for the rezoning only. We still have the evidentiary hearing SUP to consider. All right, council, look to you for action on that. All right, Madam Clerk, motion carries unanimous. All right, moving to item 9.02, Councilman Davis.
Yes, sir. I move that we table this item until January 22nd, 2024.
All right. There's a motion by Councilmember Davis to table item 9.02, consideration for rezoning for the North Street extension. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Hondros. Discussion on the motion. All right, council, look to you for action on that. All right, Madam Clerk, the motion carries unanimous. All right, moving to item 10.01 is the special use permit for transitional housing. Luckily, we've got Mr. Chairman. He's still in the front row. Mr. Greer, you still hiding back there, sir? All right, good to see you. All right, evidentiary hearing. We are now moving into tonight's evidentiary hearing. City Council's decision will be based on competent material and substantial evidence which is presented. All those who are planning to speak must provide their testimony under oath. Those who are offering themselves as a witness or an expert on an issue must provide testimony supporting the individual's expertise. So, Council, at this time, I would like to ask and remind you of conflicts and ex parte communications to disclose. If there are any council members who have had those discussions, separate discussions about this specific issue with the county, not in generality, but this specific issue as it relates to the upcoming special use permit, please let us know at this time. All right, with that, we'll turn it over to you, Mr. Harmon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council, once again. This is Special Use Permit 2309. And again, this is Cumberland County, represented by Jermaine Walker and Mr. Jimmy Kaiser. This is a special use permit for transitional housing. Again, it's a series of properties on Howley Lane and Plumbers Lane, totaling just under 2 acres, and it is in District 2. Again, I'll go over this timeline for the record that back in June of 23, we were first contacted by the county regarding the SUP process for shelter. In September of 23, we reached back out to the county to offer additional guidance to them. October 4th, again, we had a city-county staff joint meeting to discuss the timeline for the processes for rezoning and a special use permit. November 14th, the zoning portion went to the Zoning Commission. 27th, both items were on your agenda that night. The rezoning is a consent. The SUP is evidentiary. They were both pulled for hearing, one pulled for hearing and the other tabled, both to come tonight to you. And that's how we've gotten here on the 8th. Just to give you an idea again of where the properties are located, again, just off of the B Street neighborhood, Grove Street here, Person Street back to the south here. Again, it is zoned now DT2, which does match a lot of the surrounding zoning as well. And our land use plan is for institutional uses in that area. Again, this is a picture of the property as it sits currently. These are some of the surrounding properties and uses. This is a small sketch of what the county is looking to do, how they're looking to build on the property. I will remind you that being the evidentiary hearing and looking at evidence to please direct most of your questions to the county, to their representatives when the hearing is conducted, and they'll provide the evidence that you need to make your decision. There are no proposed conditions associated with a special use permit. And again, the property in question has already been zoned in your action of 2 cases ago. And so it is currently zoned DT2 conditional, and so now may move forward for the SUP application. Your options tonight are to approve as requested, approve with conditions, or deny the special use permit, of course, based on your findings of fact. Again, Mayor, I will turn it over to you. That concludes the staff's presentation. And remember to base your findings on the evidence that is given by the applicants here in just a moment.
All right, thank you, Mr. Harmon. Madam Clerk, I will now open the evidentiary hearing. Madam Clerk.
So we need to swear in. There are 4 speakers that we have signed up. We have Mr. Jimmy Kaiser, Mr. Jermaine Walker, Ms. Pamela Carter, and Mr. Kevin Carter. If you could come up to the podium, please.
I just saw them walk out, I think. Yeah, I think you all need to take the oath, but Mr. Adams, I'm sure you and Mr. Greer are going to be testifying as subject matter experts.
I hadn't planned on it, Mr. Mayor, but I will get sworn just in case you have some questions.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth to help you God? Thank you, sis.
Good evening again, sir.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I'm going to go over just some of the technical aspects of the special use permit. Mr. Walker is actually trying to find the presentation that Mr. Adams mentioned, so hopefully we will be able to get that and show you. Just a quick comment to Mr. Hare's question. The facility on the site has a lot to do with how much room we have. And keeping setbacks from the school itself and making sure that we have adequate parking, and whether we're looking at 1-story, 2-story, how much program's going to be in the building. There are a lot of variables that will ultimately decide how many beds or rooms will be available. When you're looking at shelter design, there are a myriad of outlines you can choose as far as how the rooms are set up, whether they're the family rooms, whether they're individual rooms, whether they're dual rooms. So there are a ton of variables that go into that. So there's a lot of program that still needs to be involved, but we have to get through this step first to get to that point. Just going over some of the particulars, this is more along the lines of a shelter, not necessarily a transitional facility. There's really not a shelter designation set up in the UDO. So the closest catch-all is transitional facility. Because of that, you do have to have spacing from other facilities of similar use, which is over 2,600 feet. So you have these circles. When you look on it online, they're big circles that show you where all of these facilities are in the city. And when you come in with a new one, you have to make sure you're out of that circle. So we are outside of that circle with this facility. That's one of the things that drove us looking at this site, was it did meet that parameter within the UDO. I think Commissioner Adams did a good job of kind of giving you an overview of what the intent of the facility and how it's going to be operated. Hopefully, we'll be able to elaborate on that further. I'm not trying to take any of Jermaine's thunder. This will be a multi-use as far as trying to hit several needs in the community from the homeless angle, dealing with both individuals and hopefully families, providing services and leveraging the FTCC programs that are right next door at Pauline Jones. So it's a win-win from that standpoint. Everything's there together, and it seems to fit. The DT zone, this fits within the DT zone. As I said earlier, we've got various layouts. We've looked at different building footprints. So once the programming is finalized, that footprint will be finalized. We'll have to come back through city planning, the UDO, get all applicable permits, and run that myriad of things that we have to do on any project. At that, if Jermaine is ready for his part. Are they still working on that? We'll turn it over to Jermaine. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Good evening once again. Just to reiterate, so conceptually, this just will allow you to conceptualize the massing of the structure on the property. We haven't developed the program yet, and so more than likely, it won't look exactly like this as far as that you see here in the diagram. The structure is going to be set up and it's going to be segmented by pods. And so we'll be able to isolate single men from single women, single families, women with children, and then we'll have the security measures in place with appropriate card access and those countermeasures. We'll be secure 24/7. We'll have security, and that security will not only be monitored on site, but also we'll have monitoring because that system will be the same enterprise system that the county uses, and the deputies who are back that monitor the courthouse and the LEC will be able to monitor and be apprised of what's going on in the facility. Can I answer any questions you may have?
So, Councilmember Benavente had a question?
If there were no other presenters, I just had a few facts that I wanted to clarify, unless there were more presenters.
I think they are about to get at least a showing and a rendering up. And as I speak, I'll just say a couple of things there. Mr. Mayor, you are clearly aware that you appointed me to UDO committee, and I sat on that UDO committee for a number of years, and I would tell you that that was a labor of love that I sat on that committee. That this special use permit falls within that and does not violate your UDO in that zoning. The board approved this, and I think that if you look at this in terms of your findings of fact, you'll find that it's in compliance with what is in that neighborhood. You have to make those findings to be able to do this. I don't know if anybody has any questions, and they're really trying to pull that up.
Mr. Mayor, just to go through the findings of fact while they're still looking for that. We do have to answer specific questions on a special use permit. We have provided that information previously, but to go ahead and get it in the record, I'd like to go ahead and go through those so that y'all have them and it's official.
Okay.
First is indicate how the special use complies with all applicable standards, conditions, and specifications in the ordinance. Section 30-4C. This is going to be in compliance with all UDO requirements. As such, anything that we do on the site will have to be reviewed by the city and meet those parameters within the UDO as far as building setbacks. Construction-wise, it'll meet all city requirements. Describe how the special use will be in harmony with the area in which it is located. With the rezoning of the site, what we are doing is basically an extension of the existing governmental institution that's on the Pauline Jones Elementary School site. So this will just be another governmental entity, another building there on that same property. Indicate how the special use will not materially endanger the public. Actually, a majority of the properties in that area are already owned by government entities. The city owns property in that area, the county owns property in that area. So from that standpoint, there should not be a danger to the public. The lady who spoke earlier on the B Street side, that is the other side of Pauline Jones. You actually have to go out and over to B Street. The Holly Lane side of the property is kind of a self-contained. There's not much there. You come in past existing commercial properties, and you've actually got the Plasma Center over there right around the corner. So this would seem like a fit for the area. It's not going to endanger the public. Demonstrate how the special use is in general conformity with the city's adopted land use plan. As Mr. Harmon presented previously, this area is actually set up for commercial uses, institutional uses, office uses. The DT is basically all encompassing of those, so it's all pulled into one. As stated earlier, we also meet the setback requirements from any other additional transitional housing shelter sites in the area. Explain how the special use will not substantially injure the value of abutting land or special use as a public necessity. As said before, the abutting land is mostly already governmentally owned. So that should not adversely impact the property values in the area. And will the special use comply with all other relevant city, state, and federal laws and regulations? Obviously, yes. The county will be building this facility, and by default, we have to comply with all applicable regulations.
All right.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Kaiser, Councilman Harris, you had something?
No, sir.
All right, did have a couple questions.
Yes, sir.
So, as it relates to the harmony of the area,
Yes,
okay, you know, there was some concern that was brought up. And Mr. and Ms. Carter, I think y'all were out when it was time to swear in. So if y'all would like to speak, can you come get sworn in? Go get sworn in first. And then you can have a seat on the front row. If y'all can have a seat, then I'll call you up shortly here. So, Mr. Kaiser, I guess you were, or Mr. Grill, Mr. Adams can answer that. As it relates to the harmony of the neighborhood, I know we just rezoned it, and you know the concern was that the fabric of this neighborhood has a lot of residential in it. It does have some challenges. Is there a concern, or what is the plan to make sure that there's not an over-concentration of poverty that negatively impacts what's going on?
Well, I would tell you, in harmony with the neighborhood, if you know anything about that area, there was, before it closed, the Teague House for Women, which was right in that same area, which was zoned this exact what we're trying to get to. And in terms of making sure, I think when we do at this part, what we're talking about is the shelter and all of that. But we've had plans for using our community development funds to basically build out some more affordable housing for that area. So it's not just a one and done for the county.
Okay, and what's the time frame that you guys are looking at? Because, you know, we had some residents here tonight that I don't want them to think this is an instant thing. So once you approve this, let's say, what's the time frame estimated between now and walking into the facility? Just to give
Probably
people
at least
realistic.
2 years. Probably at least 2 years. Because we couldn't do the architectural design. We do have, and I don't know how you pull this up, so go ahead, you can pull that up and let them see. About 2 years, because we have to have the architectural design. Once we do that, make sure we fit it into that particular spot.
So you can get it designed and built in 2 years?
Yeah, we good.
Huh.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see, Mr. Councilmember Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Adams, I just had two questions, really not for you, but for the gentleman that gave the presentation, because he was talking about security in the area, the keypad and the sheriff like you have at the courthouse. Now, with this, wouldn't it be more of a police presence in that area that would keep the entire community safer, not just the homeless shelter?
I agree with you, yes, sir, wholeheartedly.
I just wanted to make that point. And two is, I have a hard time, and correct me if I'm wrong, with white flags. So this is going to be a 24-hour facility. So it's not going to be based on the temperature outside or anything else, because it's cold at 33 degrees just as it is at 32 degrees.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right. Mrs. Carter, did you all have some testimony you want to inject or provide?
Well, this is the most we've heard about this. This is the most forthcoming information because from our perspective, it's been very hush-hush and quiet and not a lot of details were given. So I'm glad that y'all kind of pulled the county commissioner up here to give some details. We're certainly glad to hear some of this stuff, but I don't know. I'm just going to reiterate what I said before, that this, you know, this is a struggling neighborhood, and I don't understand why all the homeless facilities have to be concentrated into one little area, and especially our downtown area. We want people to come to our downtown. You know, it's almost as if, are there factors at play that maybe want to damage our downtown? And want other parts of the city to kind of move up. I don't know. I'm not pointing fingers necessarily and saying that's what it is. I don't know. I'm racking my brain. Why? Why would we do this to a small 4th Street area, 1 mile radius, to the businesses that are down there, with all the commercial properties and all the places that are open? You know, this is a gateway into our city. We're welcoming people off of 95, coming down up through 49. You know, the exit 49, Cedar Creek Road. They come up Person Street. And we've got the Day Resource Center and right on Person Street. And now they're wanting to build this really big resource center. What are they calling it? Support center, shelter. And like tonight, it was undetermined as to how many people this is going to house. In my opinion, they don't have a number. They don't want to give us a number because they know whatever they give us, it's going to grow. There's a lot of land over there. And it's beautiful terrace land that the city years ago, say 50 years ago, used to keep clear. It's terraced down to the creek. It's beautiful. And it should, you know, if you look at that map that he put up, it's just a lot of green space in there. And it's our Cross Creek, Blunt's Creek that flows right into Cape Fear River. Why aren't we taking advantage of those water resources and making something really beautiful and nice that would just enhance downtown? Because where we are, it is a part of our downtown. I know Cool Spring has that beautiful little water feature there at the roundabout. But let's be honest, our area is part of downtown. And it's just a beautiful area. If the city would take advantage of it, keep it clean, keep it clear, and do like what Harry Shaw had envisioned, and not only clear up all these areas and make it green spaces and something nice for the community and to enhance the downtown, but then take it all the way to the river. Because that's where our downtown should go. It should start over there at Hay Street, come on down past the Market House, Person Street. That event space there at the courthouse is going to be awesome. And we should have all this green spaces for people to enjoy at Cross Creek. If people come down there even now, if you just stand at that bridge there on Person Street right by B Street, that's beautiful. If you're into rocks and water features and nature, that's just a nice area. It just needs cleaning up, somebody to have some vision. And take it all the way down to the river. I want an indoor water park facility right there on the city-owned land there by the river. So I think that's what we need. We need visionaries that, you know, can, like Harry Shaw and like people that supported his dream. We need people like that. I wish y'all could see that, because that's what I see for our downtown. And I see more, we want more homes and we want mixed use, you know. I think our gateways matter. How we present ourselves to our visitors matter. And so I think and there are things that come with and no one wants to talk about it, but there's hard things that occur when you have large homeless population in your area. And I think that's something we need to talk about. We need to talk about these things. And our area, B Street, Person Street, Grove Street, Eastern Boulevard, all the way over to the Botanical Gardens, we need an protective overlay district where we don't just rush into these things and allow anybody to put anything in our gateways and in our downtown areas. A lot of these cities and towns that we travel to, they thoughtfully, carefully plan out how their downtowns look. And we need to take advantage of that. We can walk from B Street and enjoy everything that downtown offers.
Yes, ma'am. So,
but
Ms.
we
Carl,
want it to be safe.
Right. I want to make sure this part's for testimony.
Okay.
So if you can try to keep it to giving us something that we can consider, which you're doing some of that. But,
Okay. Well, I mean, and I think the homeless folks that are going to, because he mentioned women and children, and I'm a woman, and I have a child who's 13. They deserve to have a safe space to go to, somewhere where they feel safe. And lately, it's scary down there. When you have guns going off, that's scary, because, you know, it sounds, you'll be at your home, peaceful and quiet, and then you hear boom, 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 boom. and it just does something to your inside. You just, it's, and so I just think there's a more appropriate location where women and children that are homeless, deserve to feel safe and secure, and that, hey, you're in a safe space here, and we got a ways to go before our area would, provide that for anyone, in my opinion. And I've lived down there almost my whole life, so I think they deserve that. So I'd like to see that. I'm not sure what you want me to say other than what I've said.
No, you said some great points, but Ms. Carter, you had something testimony.
Yes, I want to add. I know the city council has already got mud thrown on your face how you handled the day center, and I'm sure mud would be thrown on the face of county commissioner how they will handle this homeless shelter. But remember this. Day after day, I watch the news, how our borders are overflowed with illegals coming in. And the mayor of New York is crying out, there's no room. And no matter how much you build, there's still going to be no room. And like he said, it may be built on Holly Lane, and he said it won't affect businesses. There's already 2 or 3 businesses already been closed down because of the influx of homeless. And what gets me, I would love to know how they would love to just ride through the neighborhood or stay a month or 2 or 3 or a year, because even our city police won't even live in the neighborhood because it's so bad. We've tried to get a home built for our police to come in, or a HUD to come in, a police HUD. But there's no direction for that to improve the city, the safety. So I don't know what decisions y'all plan to make, but just know, ever who's on this council or the mayor, when issues go down, I will keep you in prayer when you're crying out.
And if I want to say too that I'm 52 and we don't have anything down there for the kids. We want to put y'all put the city resource in. We're going to do a day this homeless support center. But what about the children? You keep putting the low income housing with the Old Groveview Terrace, and it's beautiful new apartments, and then you got Old Wilmington Road and their habitat down there, and you got the B Street right in the middle. These are some of the most impoverished kids in the city, and we don't have anything for them. We've got if you want to call a rec center at Walker Spivey, that's just an old school where they've used the back of the building and call it a rec center. There's no computers there for the children. That's just our excuse for a rec center. We don't even use it. We take we're able to drive, and we're able to take our daughter to Kiwanis at the NICE facility with the computers, and the exercise equipment. So I think it's interesting, these decisions that are being made. Why not something for our children, that could get them off the streets? I've got three little boys living on Link Street, and they're playing in the yard, and there's nothing for them to do. So let's remember that too while we're thinking about building these multi-million-dollar facilities. Let's put something down in the lower downtown for our kids, and east side too.
Right.
We're going to not forget the east side of town.
Thank you. I'm glad we've got county representatives here to hear the other part of the local government structure. Here's what is needed in this community. Councilman Benavente.
Mayor Cole, I'm prepared to make a motion.
All right, let me make sure that's all the testimony that we have. And so everybody that's been sworn in has spoken, correct? Any other questions for any of the... All right, so Councilman Mahondros had a question before we end testimony. All right, any other questions? Comments? Mr. Chairman, I did have one thing. The capacity A lot of times when we're making approvals or denials, we take in consideration capacity. You know, you may approve it with no capacity. You may go put 300 people. You may put 50 people. So what is the proposed capacity? I know you had to run some scenarios about.
We're looking probably 70, 75. It's a $15 million structure that's going to be built there. That's what we've got. We've got $17 million in the budget, but it's about a $15 million structure that we're going to do. And so that's where we're talking about. But again, just as Mr. Kaiser said, it's also going to depend on the topographic and when we get in there in terms of what we. And that was, I think, before we started acquiring some of the other properties that we had. So that's where we initially looked at, Mr.
And
Mayor.
will it have criteria? You know, what we heard some of the folks about Durham Rescue Mission had certain requirements. Are there requirements for people to participate in this proposed model?
I don't know that we've gotten all the way to set up any kind of criteria. One, you know, is that especially on the shelter part, I don't think there's going to be any restriction on that because people need to be housed. But there are going to be some requirements because if you get into the program, you've got to be able to say, I want to get through that program to be able to do that because you're going to be able to put taxpayer dollars and resources in that. So there's going to be probably some kind of contractual thing to say, I'm willing to do this. Now, is everybody going to finish the program? Probably not. But if we have some success rate out of that to be able to move these folks to that, Mr. Mayor, that's what we're looking to do.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
You're welcome.
So if I don't see any other testimony, I'll close the testimony and the evidence you're hearing. Councilman Benavente, you had your...
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At this time, I move to approve the SUP to allow the operation of a transitional housing shelter in the Downtown 2 zoning district, subject to the conditions identified and the submitted site plans and conforming to the UDO. And again, Mayor, at this time, I'd be glad to list the 6 findings of fact.
If you could, please.
In this case, I heard evidence that the special use permits does comply with all applicable standards in Section 30-4. I think those facts were admitted by the applicant as they discussed the zoning review board, having vetted all those specifics. When it comes to the special use being in harmony with the area in which it is located, we heard from the applicants that a multitude of services to include eventual transitional and affordable housing will exist there, and all of these are governmental buildings. The third fact that the special use will not materially endanger the public health or safety if located where proposed and developed according to the plan is submitted and approved. Again, Holly Lane is self-contained to many government buildings, and that the homeless support services will improve the public health and safety by addressing poverty, including FDCC certifications and eventual clinic from the medical school. The special use is in general conformity with the city's adopted land use plans and policies because the applicant included facts about this permit allowing for remaining county-owned property to be combined to allow for the construction of this facility that will address a current need in our community. Number 5, the special use will not substantially injure the value of abutting land, or the special use is a public necessity. Again, the abutting land is all government property, and evidence of this being a public necessity has been presented in the form of the service that it will provide the unhoused community that we know from our point in time count is large. And finally, the special use complies with all other relevant city, state, and federal laws and regulations. The applicant discussed being a county board and legally are required to comply with the city, state, and federal laws.
All right, so motion by Councilman Benavente, seconded by Councilman Alejandros. Discussion on the motion? All right, seeing none. Council, I'll look to you for your votes. All right, Madam Clerk, motion carries.
For the presentation, if my manager can get with your manager and bring that presentation to City Council at one of your next meetings, they're willing to do that, and we have that available for you to be able to see.
We appreciate it. It's just a recommendation. I would encourage probably discussing with some of the residents over there just so that the anxiety can be eased about what it is and what it isn't, and that kind of thing. But I'm sure you know how to handle that, Mr. Chairman.
We will do our best.
Our
Mr. Mayor.
constituents. So.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, City Council.
All right. Councilmember Banks McGough.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say to my colleagues, thank you for supporting this initiative, as well as the county and the state. I know back in 2019, that was one of the first proposals that I brought to council. So to see that you all took over that big project, I just wanted to thank you and thank the colleagues, and it's going to definitely help our unsheltered population. So I look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, City Council. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All right. Council 11.01, City Council Policy Review Committee. Madam Chairman, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So if everyone can recall, at our work session last Monday, we brought up a motion and we got a consensus to that motion about meeting change of time. So if I may, turn it over to Councilmember Hare.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Council. I will not go back into a full discussion because we had a full
Madam Attorney, you had something?
I just want, this item is about the public forum change and the advisory board change, and then item 11.
Review committee, right? 11.01.
I'm not sure where.
Oh, yeah, because that's 11. Right. Yeah.
11.01.
I apologize. I jumped over.
You ready to go, huh?
Yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm sorry. I apologize. And thank you, Councilmember Hare. So before I start, again, the policy committee consists of Councilmember Thompson, Councilmember Hare, and I appreciate all their hard work. So what I am going to, go back and talk about 11.01. I'm coming, I'm sorry. All right. So I would like to make a motion that we approve and put back on part of the policy that says any appointee may be removed for any of the following if the appointee does not comply with the, well, that's not it. I'm on B, correct? I'm sorry. So, if the appointee does not comply with provisions of 11.A.2 or 11.A.3, a complaint can be filed with the city clerk requesting removal of the appointee. The appointment committee shall hold a special meeting to consider the complaint and make a recommendation to the city council. If the recommendation of the appointment committee is removal, the decision shall be submitted to the city council for final decision at the next regularly scheduled meeting. And that is in the form of a motion to add that back.
Second.
All right, motion by Mayor Pro Tem Jensen to revise the current policy as stated. This is a recommendation that came out of the Policy Review Committee. Seconded by Councilmember Hare. Discussion on that motion, Councilmember Benavente.
Thank you, Mayor Colby. It's very brief. I just want to reiterate my concern with, or my agreement with the policy committee that we do need to be mindful of the length of our meetings for all the different guests that we have that are trying to do real business. I still think that the start time isn't the issue, that we'll blow past. Oh,
Next Saturday.
We're not on this one.
which one are we on?
You got one more. So we didn't even start.
Oh,
early, so we'll be
I got a
awake
lot
at
to
the
say on
end.
that too. Let me start over. Are we on appointees?
No, you're not there yet.
We're appointees. I got something to say about appointees too.
Okay.
So pretend that first part didn't happen. I was under the impression that we had a policy to remove, that got removed and it got put back in. Is essentially where we're at right now. The idea that the policy committee, I think, is supposed to improve on our policies, I think there's still an opportunity to do that. I agree with everything that's been recommended. I want to add one sort of subsection to it, that if after the clerk has received a complaint and after the policy committee has reviewed that complaint, maybe talk to staff, realize that there is a situation here that warrants removal, that we add a subclause that before it comes to full council, that individual be notified and be given an opportunity to resign. I think there's, some concern that I have that, someone's name is sort of being put out there and we're going to be discussing them, and there's a potential for, just a lot of unnecessary attention on a situation that I think all parties involved, if there is a situation, can agree just to let them settle without having to do the giant, name in the paper type situation. That if a complaint is made, the committee decides we do want to move forward with bringing it to full council, that a notification is put up so that individual can just say for themselves, how about I just step away and make this a little cleaner for everyone involved. So that would be my comment, and maybe we can make an adjustment to the policy before we pass it.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments, questions? All right. With that, we have a motion and a properly second. We'll look for your votes on that.
Mayor Colvin. I just wanted to ask Mayor Pro Tem Jensen if she was including the public forum piece in that motion or if she was going to do a separate motion. The change we made to the public forum is it's policy 120-09. It's an attachment under that item as well.
See, it did or did not? I don't remember talking about that either.
We didn't discuss that, did we? Because I'm not.
So they can pass it without that particular item if they specified it in the motion, correct?
Well, yes. Well, the motion only considered the first item, so I guess if we don't consider it, then that you won't take any action on it.
Yes, we're talking about the exactly what we were talking about, the 15 minutes plus the 15 minutes. No, the public forum shall be held on the second Monday of every month during the regular scheduled meeting of the council and shall be first item of business after approval of the agenda. The public forum shall last no longer than 30 minutes. Any remaining speakers on the public forum list that did not get the opportunity to address the city council will have the option to have their name placed at the beginning of the next scheduled public forum list of speakers. We had this happen tonight. Each speaker shall have up to 3 minutes to address the council on issues related to the city of Fayetteville. No time will be yielded to any speaker or another speaker. Speakers shall address the council in the order in which their name appears on the sign-up sheet. Speakers shall address the council from the podium and shall not otherwise physically approach council. Any written comments or other supporting documents shall be left with the city clerk. Speakers shall be courteous in their language and presentation and shall refrain from personal attacks. The mayor or other designated presiding officer reserves the right at all times to maintain order, decorum during the public forum. Speakers shall not discuss the following matters during the public forum: personal, litigation, property acquisition, attorney-client privilege, confidential, and matters that are subject of public hearings. Speakers desiring to speak at any of the aforementioned will be directed on the proper procedure for discussing those matters. Speakers will not discuss matters regarding candidacy and any person seeking public office, including the candidacy of the can't say it, and person addressing the board. No dialogue shall occur between the speaker and council and the conclusion of the public forum, and the city manager or city attorney may provide rebuttal to any statements made during the public forum. Anyone desiring to speak may sign up in advance no later than 5:00 p.m. on the day of the meeting by the person with the city clerk in the city manager's office suite, City Hall, 433 Hayes Street, Fayetteville, North Carolina, or by email Pamela McGill at fayetteville.nc.gov, or call 910-433-1992 and provide their name and address. Speakers with handouts for the city council are to be submitted to the office of the city clerk prior to 5 p.m. on the day of the meeting.
So,
That would be my motion.
all right, so you making a motion with that?
That's
With all of that? All right,
Yes.
is there a second on that?
Yes, sir.
All right, council. During the discussion phase, I'd like to just say, I think with this, I think this is good, and I really appreciate the policy committee, the hard work you put in it. I just know that there are a lot of components to this. I don't think we mentioned this during the work session to talk through some of the impacts of it. For instance, as we look at whoever's chairing the meeting, not just mayor or whomever, and you have a speaker that needs guidance. You know, I've called inspections and it gave me multiple different things. Mr. Manager, who do you talk to? Or if you need to engage them, I see that there was no dialogue, and you got to depend on the manager and attorney to respond when the chair may need to direct the manager and the attorney to do something. And so just small little things, because you got so specific with the changes, I think, we need to really carefully look at some of it. Also, too, I do agree that there should be some limitations to what people talk about. But as we look at all of this, if there's no ability to talk about personnel or pending litigation, we understand that. Property acquisition. Let's say, hey, I know that the city was planning to build something over at this particular place, and they have to do something. They may be speaking for or against it. I understand that could come under the public hearing. And then attorney-client privilege, we understand. Confidential matters, we understand. But I just think that we want to make it clear for future councils, not us. I think we understand the spirit of the change, but just want to go through it and make it clear that it doesn't look like we're trying to take, the free speech ability away from people to say you can't talk about property acquisition, litigation, personnel, people, this or that. It's a real encompassing list. So you had something, Mr. Manager? Did you raise your hand?
Mayor Pro Tem first.
Oh.
So, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, at the end of the day, there was only one thing that was a change, and that was the 30 minutes, the 15 to 15 minutes.
So this is the current policy?
Yes. The only thing that's changed is it used to be no longer than 15 minutes. Now we made it no longer than 30 minutes. Number one, the reason why I read the whole thing is tonight we saw a lot of things that I think needed to be brought back out of what our policy is. Because as we were going through, I see that there's some things that we need to make sure that even the listening audience needed to hear. So number one is what we did change. So instead of doing 15-minute intervals, we have the 30-minute intervals, one 30-minute interval, and once you're done, that person comes back and they're first on the list. So tonight, we let that go further because there was two people. So I guess my question is, we talked very extensively about this in the policy committee, and if it's policy, it's policy.
All right, Mr. Hughes, you had something before I go to Councilmember Thompson.
Yes, sir. Council, particularly the new members, may not know, but on Mondays before your meeting, the senior leadership team and most of the assistant department directors, we have a Zoom call where we review the upcoming agenda, and we also review the list of public forum speakers who are signed up at that point. Depending on the issue, we try to get additional information to see if we can actually address some of the concerns that people raise. We never try to dissuade them from coming and talking to council, even if we know the information. But we do have advanced knowledge of sometimes of the background and history. And additionally, after tonight's meeting, we'll have another meeting tomorrow with the same group, and we'll go over again the list of what people said to see if it's consistent with what we thought it was going to be. And then every speaker that speaks before council at a public forum receives a letter, postcard from me. Usually takes a couple of weeks, and where we try to go through and actually answer or address any of the questions they have. And quite often we use Michelle Smith-Riordan, who is here as well in the audience, to try to follow up on those. In years past, we have not had an opportunity for the city attorney and the city manager necessarily to respond, which is part of the policy. But I will also share with the council that the assistant manager and I are often making a lot of eye contact. And when we hear or see something, like they said already, one of the speakers tonight referred to Assistant City Manager Oliveira, who we either have been in contact with them the day of, or they will, even if they don't get up here, they will also make contact with them tomorrow. So just want to let you know that the staff is paying attention, and we will try to follow up on those items. And if you would like the city attorney and myself to speak up more at the end of the public forum to kind of say how we're planning to handle that, we'd be happy to do that. But heretofore, that's not been something that the staff have necessarily done.
All right, thank you. Councilman Mahadros, Thompson, Benavente, Banks, McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'm assuming both of these items are included in the motion. I just wanted to comment on the removal piece and the concern or reservation. Several of us have served on these volunteer advisory boards and committees, and the fact that we as a council appoint them, obviously we have the authority to remove them if they breach these rules that are in place. This allegation or complaint of one volunteer could be made by another volunteer, another member of that committee they serve with. So I think it's worth considering and have the conversation of having either a way where they can defend themselves or resign if they know they're going to be removed, rather than their name being brought here. It's no different than settling out of court. So I just think that's worthy of discussion.
Thanks, sir. Councilmember Benavente.
I think it might just be a point of inquiry at this stage.
All right, Councilmember.
Because of, to get clarity now, where are we right now with this motion? Because I understand that we're talking about the extent, the revision
phase.
Well, yes, sir, but I meant as far as the revision of the time of the public forum and nothing else. We're only dealing with public forum right now. Is that correct? Okay. Well, that's my point of inquiry.
Well,
that's what I want clarity on. Thank you.
Okay, I'll bring it back. I'm owning every bit of this. So what I will say is I want to take back my motion. I would like to make a motion on the public forum. The one
15 minutes to 30 minutes, and then
Yes.
next meeting. Yep.
Yes. I would like to make a motion that we accept this and then get a second and vote on that. And then I'm going to go ahead and we're going to talk about the
The other
removal.
things.
And I am willing to discuss what you had talked about and amend it. And then we'll go on to the next thing.
All right, so withdrawal, there's a new motion by Mayor Pro Tem. Is there a second to that new motion? All right, Councilmember here. All right, so continuing the discussion, Councilmember Banks McLaughlin, you had your light on?
Mayor, it sounds like there's no motion on the floor at this time.
She withdrew it and made another one.
Oh, you did make another one?
I did, yes, ma'am.
Okay. May I
To
hear
just
the-
take in consideration the public forum
Okay, thank you.
changes versus, she just separated the items.
Yes. And Councilmember Harris seconded it, and now Councilmember Banks McLaughlin.
All right, Councilmember Banks McLaughlin, you had?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I guess my concern is the time frame. Like, for instance, today we did extend that time frame. However, we might have 20, 30 people that show up on any given day to speak. Are we going to at least have a cutoff amount of number, or at least allow the individuals to know that it's a possibility that they won't be able to speak, and if they're not able to speak, that they will speak at the next meeting. Do we have anything currently set up? If not, I would think that that would be a great idea, so that they won't waste time coming here thinking that they'll be able to speak. So if that can be added in the motion.
Well, isn't that in here? It's in here. It says that they'll come in order at the next meeting if it goes past 30 minutes. Oh, you mean
The
communication?
staff, yes, the communication portion, so that they won't come here and then find out the day of the meeting that they have to wait till the following meeting.
So, Mr. Mayor, if I may?
All right, point of order, guys. All right, so there's a question by Councilman Banks McGoffin. You made the motion, so what she's saying is in here. I think what she's talking about is the staff.
Yes, sir. We have talked about that, and because they have got to sign up before 5 o'clock, the clerk will be aware of what it is and will let them know that, if there is 30 speakers and we know that they get 3 minutes, we know that we're looking anywhere from 10 to 15 speakers, and that will be addressed. And the other thing is when we do get the speakers, as the city manager said, we are speaking to them before they come, that maybe that we can solve the problem before they do have to take time out of their day to come down.
Okay, all right. That capture your questions, Councilmember Banks McGoffin? All right, Councilmember Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To address some of the concerns that some of the colleagues have talked about how long some of these public forums go to, I think it's paramount that we adhere to what our policy states. Being on the policy committee, I can't remember every policy that is written, so we need staff and everybody else to help us when we are not following policy. I.e., number 2, right after the one we just changed, states, each speaker will have 3 minutes to address council on related issues of City of Fayetteville. No time will be yielded to one speaker to another. And we did that tonight. That would have saved us time. So please help us keep ourselves straight so it doesn't last 40 minutes, but it's only supposed to last 30 minutes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. All right, Council, any other comments or questions on the motion by Mayor Pro Tem Jensen, seconded by Councilmember Hare? All right, look to you for action. All right, Madam Clerk, motion unanimous, it carries. All right, second half of this, is that something you wanted to address in terms of removal, or is that something you want to send back for further discussion?
No, I'm just going to
Separate,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out how to make this that we because we have the two things. So what I guess I would say is I would like to make the motion that we add. Let's see.
So could it be a suggestion that you move that the council accept the recommendations with the notification requirement as they were concerned with? Because they just wanted to add the piece where you would notify them that they're potentially going to be removed and they have an option to resign. Is that
correct?
Add that.
Okay. So I make a motion that the council, that the appointments committee will reach out to the applicant, the appointment, to discuss the situation before it comes to full council. Is that staff would reach out, I'm sorry. And city manager's looking at me like I've lost my mind, so help me.
Councilman Hondros.
So if I'm looking at this correctly, the proposed revisions in our CAM, right now there's a C1 and a C2. So if we replace C2 with this additional step and then make the current C2 C3, I think that will accomplish what we're trying to accomplish.
Thank you.
So C will include appointment committee shall hold a special meeting. It will notify the applicant of a potential to be removed. And then item 3 would be recommendation of appointment committee is removal. Decision will be submitted to council for full final decision. Is that right?
Correct.
All right. So is that a second on that, Councilman Hondros? All right. All right, there's a motion by Mayor Pro Tem as stated, seconded by Councilmember Hondros. Discussion on that motion? Adam, you listen.
What?
All right. All right, Council, I'll look to you for action on it.
Okay. Corpse.
All right. All right, motion carries. All right, final item, moving to item 11.02. Mayor Pro Tem, is that your item?
Over to Councilmember Hare.
Councilmember Hare.
Mayor Colvin,
Ma'am?
just a reminder that we do have 11.03, which is approval of the October 9th minutes.
Councilwoman Green.
I would not have let it go by.
We still have Councilmember Hare.
Thank you, Mayor. Council, as we look at item 11.02, as we spoke in depth on last Monday, we were speaking on adopting a resolution for the changes of meeting starting times and ordinance amendments for Chapter 2 of the Code ordinance, and it reads, and my motion reads as follow from last Monday. I make a motion, or I move that we adopt the resolution and code of ordinances amending the City Council's work session meeting time to 2 p.m., the agenda discussion meeting to 5:30 p.m., and our regular meeting time to 6:30 p.m., and that will be effective February the 1st, 2024.
All right, it's a motion by Councilmember Hare, as stated, seconded by Councilmember Thompson. Any discussion on that motion? Councilmember Benavente, is that your hand? You don't want to go home, do you?
No, well, just to make the point that, again, I believe that the real way to make sure that we don't stay too late is that moving forward, our city staff and the city council sort of direct city staff to let us understand that if nothing has changed from the time that we were given it to us before meeting a week beforehand, nothing has changed since the agenda briefing, that we not necessarily go page by page on a lot of these documents, that we can ask our questions because we've all done our diligence, and then we can proceed. I think that is really the reason that we go beyond time, and this 30-minute adjustment, we're probably going to blow past it just like we do. Typically, the county does it this way. Right? The county doesn't necessarily go page by page on any of their documentation because they know that the public that's interested in these topics are very much capable of accessing them and communicating with city council members or county commissioners if they have additional inquiries. So I think if we really want to address the length of our meetings, that we start there as opposed to adjusting the time. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Councilman Thompson, is that a discussion? Okay. All right, Council, we have a motion by Councilmember Hare and seconded by Mayor Pro Tem. All right, look to you for action on this.
Just as it was.
All right, motion carries 6-4. Those voting in opposition, Councilmember McNair, Green, Banks, McLaughlin, and Mario Benavente. Councilmember Benavente.
Move to adjourn, sir.
Got one more. 11.03, Councilmember Green, the October 9th minutes. Wanted a separate vote for that? All right, you want to make a motion? Oh, well, no, you can't, ma'am. So you need another motion because you didn't want to vote on, and just for a little explanation, your issue was you weren't on council then, so you.
Correct, yes, sir.
Okay. All right, can we have a motion to approve October 9th minutes?
So move.
All right, motion by Councilmember Harris, seconded by Councilmember Thompson. Discussion on that. Motion to approve the October 9th minutes. All right. Council, look to you for action. All right, motion carries 9-1. Voting in opposition, Councilmember Green. All right, motion to adjourn. Have a